Good evening. Welcome to the Town Council meeting of Monday, February 13th, 2023, here in the McKinnon Council Chambers. Relative to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20F, and for the benefit of the public, this meeting is being recorded by both video and audio methods. The first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Second order of business, roll call. Sue?
Sorry, I'm having trouble hearing. My headphones aren't working. Councilor Adams?
Present.
Councilor Daniel?
Present.
Councilor Dow?
Present.
Councilor Lazo?
Present.
Councilor Marchetti? Present. Councilor Montigny?
Present.
Councilor Rivas?
Present.
Councilor Ryan?
Present.
And Councilor Steves?
Present. 9 present. We have quorum in a meeting. Item number 3, consider and accept the Town Council meeting minutes of Monday, January 30th, 2023.
So moved. Second.
We have a meeting by Council Steves, a second by Council Lazo. Any corrections, deletions? Everything look good? Very well. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 4, consider and accept the special Town Council meeting minutes of Monday, February 6, 2023.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Councilor Ryan, second by Councilor Steves. Any corrections, deletions, additions? Very good. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all. Are you opposed?
No, sorry.
Unanimous of all present. Item number 5, subcommittee reports. First one is General Government. Council Steves.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We did have a meeting on February 8th. Several of the items are on tonight's agenda, so I will address those when we get to them. We do have one scheduled for, or will have one scheduled for the 21st at 6:30, and that one's going to be addressing a few key issues. Specifically, we're going to be taking a look at the new voting equipment. We've got something coming forward for a cost of vendor transfer for vacated properties. And we're going to be talking about the concept of centralized town billing in relation to the upcoming curbside contract and a variety of related issues. And also, I was just asked this evening to see if we can throw on the appointment of the new town accountant. So that's going to be on the agenda for 6:30 on Wednesday, Wednesday the 21st. Or sorry, Tuesday the 21st. Sorry.
All set?
Yep.
Very good. Thank you. Department of Public Works, Councilor Marchetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. DPW subcommittee meeting was held on Wednesday, February 8th in the Veterans Room. There were items discussed and voted on tonight's agenda. Agenda item number 11 tonight, we discussed the town manager's appointment of Richard Soto as seasonal DPW winter plow driver. Agenda item number 12, tonight we discussed the revised job description for the DPW deputy director. Agenda item number 13 tonight, we discussed the changes to Schedule 1, Roman numeral 1, administrative salary schedule. Agenda item number 14, we discussed the town manager's promotion of Philip Harding to DPW deputy director. Agenda item number 15 tonight, we discussed the revised job description for senior public works foreman. Agenda item number 16 tonight, we discussed the changes to Schedule 1, Roman numeral number 7, PW supervisory and PW schedule. Agenda item number 17, we discussed the town manager's promotion of Glenn Ethier, senior public works foreman position. Agenda item number 28, we discussed the applying for the Rebuilding American Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity RAISE grant. Agenda item number 31, we discussed awarding tank mixer replacement for the tank mixer motors at Breakneck and Mass Avenue storage tanks. Agenda item number 32, we discussed a transfer, $29,992 for the replacement of the tanks mixers. And agenda item number 33, we discussed a transfer for $90,000 for capital stabilization to purchase a sweeper. This was increased cost for purchasing a sweeper. And agenda item number 34, we discussed a transfer of $86,032 from capital stabilization to purchase a equipment for this swap loader. This is in addition to the cost. We also updated, we got an update on the construction inspector position, and we discussed road improvements in town. There are no meetings scheduled at this time, and that ends my report. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Education and Human Services, Councilman Tigney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There's no prior meetings since the last town council meeting and no meeting scheduled at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Planning and Development, Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, I'll discuss both the planning and development and ARPA. Tonight's agenda, 18 through 26, has to deal with ARPA and the P&D meeting that we had recently. Number 37, number 37, A through I, is rules and regulations that we've gone over as well. That'll be discussed further as we get through this agenda. Next meeting is scheduled for P&D on the 7th of March, 2023, and the next meeting for ARPA is on the 9th of March, 2023. That's all I got.
Thank you very much. Protection of Persons and Property, Council Lazo.
Mr. Chairman, through the chair, I have no report at this time, but we have a meeting scheduled for February 22nd, 6 p.m., Veterans Room. Thank you.
Very good. Item number 6, Chairman's announcements. I have one announcement this evening. I'd like to offer my thanks to Town Manager McCall for his tenure here. I think he brought a lot of class, a lot of good experience, and good work for the town of Southbridge. And I'm going to miss him not being here, but I wish him very well in his future endeavors, and I hope he's successful. Thank you. Item number 7, Town Manager's announcements.
I don't really have any announcements this evening, Mr. Chairman, but what I wanted to do is I wanted to thank the town of Southbridge for my time here, especially the councilors, the current makeup of the council as well as the past council. Your support in a lot of the projects, the residents that have supported along the way have given me feedback, but most importantly, the staff here, especially my immediate support staff. The department heads here have been great, and I really want to thank all the wonderful employees that have helped along the way with the various projects that we've had. I think together we've weathered a lot of challenges in the last 2.5 years, including COVID. We've dealt with the Great Resignation. We've dealt with changes in the economy and the job market. We've made an awful lot of strides. We've worked on putting together 2 successful budgets. We've settled numerous contracts here in town with our labor unions and worked on contracts with outside vendors. We've been working on economic development, as you know. We worked on the airport reconstruction, bringing the RMV back to town. As you know, we've passed the fire station project at the ballot. We've worked on bringing the rail trail coming forward. And we've secured millions of dollars during that time with the help of the staff. We've also had a great relationship during that time with our legislators who've also brought in money for various projects, including HVAC and asbestos removal. And while I had a hand in some of those successes, it would not have happened without the help and support of all those people, the council, the residents, and the staff. I've made a lot of friends in my time here, and I've made a lot of memories. I wish you all well in your future endeavors. I look forward to coming back and seeing the progress you made, and it's been an honor to serve you these last 2.5 years, and I thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and members of the council.
Thank you. Item number 8, presentations. Our first presentation this evening is an opera presentation led by Councilor Adams and Abby.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Town Manager, councilors, residents. So as I brought up a few months ago, we wanted to update the residents and the council, how much money we spent, how we've spent that money, and I'm going to turn it over to Abby because she is the mastermind behind all the numbers and stuff like that. If it was up to me, I'd be using an abacus trying to figure out which one is 1 + 1. She's done a lot of the work here, and I appreciate it. She is also the individual that those entities that we've provided funds for go to her and report to her, and then at that point in time, she reports to us at the ARPA committee. Currently, we have already given out $3.8 million of the little over $5 million that we've received from the state and the feds. And I just want you to know, for those individuals that are current employees of the town and that received the premium pay, we gave out over $376,000 to those individuals. Well-deserved, especially during the pandemic. And I brought up that last meeting when the town council was kind enough to approve those funds. You deserve that money, especially with the unknown of a pandemic, and I appreciate all the work, and I know the council does too, that you did during that period of time. So I'm going to turn it over to Abby real quick.
Hello. So this is a quick update on the ARPA stuff. So the town was granted $5,044,950. Of that money, $3,732,800.15 has been obligated across 29 different projects. The town is now left with $1,312,949.85 remaining, and these 29 projects have accumulatively spent about $1,691,223.32. To be a bit more specific, I'll go through each of the 29 projects, tell you what's awarded, spent, and remaining. So the Main Street Infrastructure Project is all completed, and all money from all projects relating to it has been spent down. The Design a Rail Trail concept from Dudley to Sturbridge contract with BSC Group has been completed and spent down. The ARPA Travel, Tourism, and Outdoor Recreation Grant has not spent any money to date. The temporary contracted position for the Redevelopment Authority Executive Director has to date spent down $36,923.04 of the allocated $80,000. The project to hire BSC Group to prepare the Rebuilding American Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity Grant has spent all $5,400 allocated. The temporary contracted position for the ARPA Administrator has to date spent down $7,982.15 of the allocated $135,000. The United Way program has been paid $37,500 of their allocated $150,000. The YMCA's What's for Dinner program has been paid $6,249.99 of their allocated $50,000. The YMCA's Youth Teen Leaders program has been paid $6,249.99 of their allocated $50,000. The 2023 Veterans Heritage Grant application match has not spent down any funds to date. The public record software has been purchased and spent down all of the $4,500 allocated. The self-contained breathing apparatus has not spent down any funds to date. And the two base radio systems for the middle school and high school communication with public safety has not spent down any funds to date. The upgrade to the town's communication infrastructure of all phone lines to fiber optic has not spent down any funds to date. The loans and grants to small businesses within our town has not spent down any funds to date. The West Street Infrastructure Improvements Project has spent $51,385.50 of their allocated $250,000. The P25 digital component upgrade has not spent down any funds to date. And the voting machines, poll bundle, and printers project has not spent down any funds to date. And the town manager's substance abuse program has not spent down any funds to date. The project to design and build an animal kennel has not spent down any funds to date. The Bridge Fridge project has been paid $2,000 of the $6,000 allocated. The upgrade to the boiler control system at Cole Ave has not spent down any funds to date. The premium pay has paid out $380,633 to town employees to date, leaving $19,367 remaining. The lighting for the softball field project has not spent down any funds to date. The Southbridge Fire Department mental health program has not spent down any funds to date. The project to build a broadband network for the Jacob Edwards Library has not spent down any funds to date, and the project applying for the micro projects program has not spent down any funds to date. As far as reporting goes, we require monthly reporting from the United Way, the YMCA, and Wellstorm to provide updates and ensure that their projects are benefiting the residents of Southbridge. The United Way provides reporting for the 4 projects that they're covering through the ARPA. The YMCA provides reporting for their 2 projects, and the Wellstorm provides reporting for the Bridge Fridge project. Reporting provides a look at what the program expenses are so that we can compare it to how much funding they're receiving from ARPA, and it provides the number of Southbridge residents that are benefiting from the program. And as there are many projects that have not begun spending down their funds, I'm currently in the process of reaching out to people to check in on the status of their projects and to see what we can do to get things moving. The end.
Councilors? Councilor Rivas.
What was the amount from the United Way that was already spent down?
Spent down $37,500. They're getting biannual for 2 years.
Can you review some of the projects that they've already funded?
Sure. Is there anyone in particular you wanted to look at?
I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses, so I can't.
There's a lot of projects. It's a lot of information.
So how many projects did they fund?
There's 29 projects.
29 projects that the United Way
Oh,
specific?
the United Way has 4.
Okay.
Yep.
Can you go over the projects that they've funded specifically?
sure.
Thank you.
So, So the United Way funds 4 projects. They do the Worcester Community Action Council, the Catholic Charities, the St. Luke's, and the Open Sky.
Thank you.
Yep.
All set? Great. Councilor Lazo, then Councilor Ryan.
Abby, I'd just like to say thank you very much. The ARPA money, I'm a big fan of putting it into infrastructure and other things. Other councilors have other ideas, but I have to say, the ARPA committee has been outstanding as far as people coming to them. I know that Councilor Adams has always said, let's have a conversation. Let's get together and see what your needs are. And every walk of life in Southbridge is, if they've come forward, the ARPA committee has been very fair with them. And looking at the disbursements, I can't complain. You kind of spread the butter on the bread evenly and taking care of so many different issues that we would have had to pay for through capital improvement or a tax hike. So going forward with still a balance, continue the good work. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Councilor Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you. First, great work. I'm quite impressed that you could remember a number off the top of your head like that. I couldn't do that, so kudos to you. Shows that you know your work well. But my question is, you talked about the reporting requirement. Just enlighten me a little bit. Is everyone required to do that reporting requirement? How often is it different, like different amounts for different organizations? Is it the moment the money starts getting spent, et cetera? Just a little bit about that.
Sure. So the reporting is for the money that we give out to other programs, so like the United Way, the YMCA, the Wellstorm. They provide reporting back to me to show me that what they're doing is benefiting Southbridge residents directly. So, for example, the YMCA will send me every month spreadsheets that show Southbridge residents specifically that are benefiting and a cost breakdown of everything they're doing so that I can kind of compare the two to see what percentage of their funds are coming from us versus what percentage of their beneficiaries are Southbridge residents to make sure that the numbers kind of match up.
Perfect. Thank you. Making sure we're keeping a good eye on how the funds are being spent and having those reporting requirements. This is great work. I'm quite impressed. It's good money being invested in good things that are doing really good work around town, and I'm happy to see that we're actually making sure it's being done properly as well. So thank you for all your work.
Thank you.
Very good. Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. The United Way award, is that a typo? It looks like a typo to me. I thought they were awarded 150, not 50.
Oh, yeah, that is a typo.
Yep, okay.
Yeah, it should say 150 awarded.
All
I'm
right.
sorry. That's my bad.
I was just curious about that. And I'm surprised they haven't come forward with more requests because there were a lot of people.
Yeah, so our agreement with the United Way is we're going to do biannual allocations to them. And
Okay.
we got our first one to them in December. So then going forward, they need to provide me with monthly updates, which so far they've been good with.
All right. All right, that's all I have. Thank you.
Great. Anyone else? Thank you very much, Abby. Great job.
Thank you.
Just want to say thank you to the town council, continue to support us. We do have big projects coming up from $200,000 requests, $130,000 requests. And I know Mr. Karen may take a look at the redevelopment executive director position up there, where we allocated $80,000, not $800,000 for his job. So we just want to make sure. So I just want to make sure he's aware of that, his increase, we didn't increase his salary. Thanks.
Okay. Second presentation tonight is a word from Karen Hanoi, the Finance Director.
Good evening. Since this is my last town council meeting, I just wanted to thank the town council, councils of the past, current town manager, other town managers that I've worked under, for all their support over the last 19 years. I'm very grateful to have served the residents of the town of Southbridge, and I want everyone to know that Southbridge will hold a very special place in my heart. And just wanted to say those couple of words, and there's just a couple of little poems that I just wanted to share with you that Abby helped me put together to just kind of convey my thoughts. O town of Southbridge, 19 years have flown right by. Now away I go. Now away I go. People come and go, but memories made will stay. So let me say thanks. With thanks I will go off on a new adventure. So this has been a word. As you said in the agenda, it said a word from Karen. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Karen. You definitely will be missed. Okay, item number 9, citizens forum. Are there any citizens that would like to approach the podium and address the council on an issue not on tonight's agenda? Very good. Item number 10, vote to ratify the contract with the interim town manager.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Lazo, second by Councilor Ryan. Councilor Lazo.
I'd like to offer an amendment just to clarify, vote to ratify the contract with Charlie or Charles Blanchard as interim town manager. I'd like to insert the name.
Second it.
We have an amendment by Councilor Lazo, a second by Councilor Adams, to insert the words with Charles Blanchard as the interim town manager. Any discussion? All those in favor of the amendment, raise your hand. Opposed? Unanimous of all present. The motion is now amended. Very good. Any discussion on the amended motion? There being none,
Roll call.
roll call vote. All those in favor? I'm
Hi,
sorry.
Denise Clements, 128 Country Club Place. What's the term of the contract for the public?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's a 6-month term.
Okay, the information's not there.
Yep.
Well, we're just voting on the amendment first, not even on the
We
main
voted
motion.
on the amendment.
Good.
We voted on the amendment.
Never mind, excuse me.
Very good. Thank you, Ms. Clements. That's right.
Sorry. Excuse me, Counselor Daniel?
Yes.
Counselor Dow?
Yes.
Counselor Lazo?
Yes.
Counselor Marquetti?
Yes.
Counselor Montigny?
Yes.
Counselor Rivas?
Yes.
Counselor Ryan?
Yes.
Counselor Steves? Yes. And Counselor Adams?
Yes.
That's 9 yeses. Mr. Blanchard is appointed as the interim town manager for a 6-month period. Very good. Item number 11, vote to approve the town manager's appointment of Richard Soto as seasonal DPW winter plow driver, effective immediately through April 30, 2023, pending the successful completion of pre-employment screening and state ethics.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Councilor Lazo, second by Councilor Steves. Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This was voted 4-0, and the motion was adopted. Thank you.
Very good. Any discussion?
Approved.
All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Okay. Very good. Item number 12, vote to accept the revised job description for DPW Deputy Director.
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Councilor Dow, second by Councilor Lazo. Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This was voted 2 in favor, 3 against. It was a negative vote, and the motion was lost.
Very good. Discussion. Councilor Steves.
Is Mr. Benoit in?
I'd like to speak too
Because
first.
I'd love to see what his thoughts are on this.
I'd like to speak first.
Mr. Chairman, I can let you know that Mr. Benoit is here this evening.
Thank you. Councilor Steves, you'd like to speak with Mr. Benoit?
I would like to see if he has anything to say about, well, this item and the other items that we're going to be addressing immediately following it, so.
Well, Mr. Benoit?
And you can see him, so. Oh, there he is. There he is.
Thank you for coming forward, Mr. Benoit. Good evening.
Thank you for being here.
Councilor Steves.
I was just wondering if you could quickly summarize what your thoughts are on changing this job description. Had you read the original one?
I've been kind of brought up to speed on, what the changes required. Better?
Yep.
So from my understanding of this, it's because in the past, the assistant was also the town engineer.
Yes,
So
that's
I'm
true.
under the understanding that the change is that they're taking the engineering portion out and everything else is going to stay status quo, if that's correct.
That's the general gist I got, but how do you feel about that change being the DPW director? Do you think it makes sense to do either to have your assistant be an engineer, or do you think it would make more sense to have engineering done in some other manner?
I think in the past, it probably worked out fantastic. I think now, with the current market for employees, having somebody that's going to be willing to take on both of those roles as a combined role is going to be pretty difficult.
True.
Not necessarily impossible, but difficult.
Right.
Money would definitely be a huge aspect to that. And then there's also that, personalization of, having somebody. I think having somebody in that role would have to have a very broad range of experiences.
Right.
And in order to more serve the town in the future, having somebody that is a little bit more dedicated to just that engineering role would probably be a lot more helpful, especially with the rules of today's construction projects and so on and so forth. I think that it would probably be a much more beneficial to be outsourcing it. And in that term, you can also find maybe a list of people that
Right.
you can use for different projects. So you're not overloading one firm and also dealing with certain specialties with certain projects.
Okay, because as you probably know, we have been considering that idea, and that's kind of where we're doing on a temporary basis right now, while we figure out what we're going to do permanently.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
All set?
At the moment.
Great. Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you. I voted no on this agenda for a couple reasons. First of all, I think the new DPW director should be completely involved in this process. Under the Home Rule Charter, Chapter 4, the director's power and duties shall include the power to establish divisions within the department. Now, at the subcommittee meeting, I heard the town manager and the HR department use the word consulted a lot. The director was consulted, but that's not my interpretation of the charter. Tonight, he said he was brought up to speed. The point of the charter was that he needs to be completely involved. It's his power to make this divisions. It's his power to do the hiring. He recommends it to the town manager. I also feel the position should have been posted. My opinion, this is about equal opportunity. Several counselors, they talk a lot about equal opportunity, but unless the jobs are posted, where is the equal opportunity? I know the HR said these are promotions, and she didn't feel they needed to be posted, but promotions are not the issue here. It's the equal opportunity to get the promotion. That is the issue. So that is why I voted against this agenda, and I will continue to vote no. Thank you.
Good. Anyone else? Council Steves.
I'm going to follow up because I think I voted against this too, but that was primarily because I wanted to get your thoughts directly, and you weren't at the meeting. And as I said back then, I have nothing against the people that are being proposed for promotion going on the future agenda items, which really is not technically germane to this agenda item. Have you had a chance to give any, Mr. Bernard, have you had a chance to give any thoughts to the way you would like to see the DPW organized? Granted that you're brand new, and I understand that, and I totally get that.
I honestly, at this moment in time, I've set foot in the facility for about 45 minutes just
Right.
to take a brief tour, and most of my conversations have been limited to either hallway conversations here or, a few brief office conversations as how things go. So,
Right.
I mean, at the moment, I don't have the overall gist of how the system works and all of those things. So.
That's fair. So from your point of view then, what you do know and don't know, do you think it makes sense to make this change now? Or would you rather have a chance to take a look at it over a period of time and then come back and do it later? And possibly make other changes at some point? Again, considering the fact that we're talking about changing the job description and not the people that are being proposed at this point.
I think that the item at the moment is basically, engineering. So, honestly, moving forward, I think that's probably the direction we're going to end up going anyway, with, outsourcing the engineering for the town. So I don't think that making that change to the job description at the moment is going to be an issue.
Okay.
If there are other changes to any of the job descriptions for any of the DPW positions, that's something that we can, discuss further down the road, obviously with subcommittee and then to the council.
There is another one
I will
on
be
this
reviewing
agenda.
all of them once
Yeah.
I, actually begin the position. But,
Right.
a lot of that will come in time. So I think at the moment, we're going to be looking to get a lot of things moving in town and try to get some projects started. So we're definitely going to need some engineering help. So maybe,
Right.
knocking this one off the plate would probably not be a bad idea.
But in this case, the job description changes to eliminate the engineer in this particular requirement.
Right. It eliminates the engineer from that specific position.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Does that make sense from the way you foresee running the DPW?
Yes.
It does?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'm having a hard time hearing Councilor Steves, so I don't know if you could talk into the mic a little
Just need
better.
to be close to the mic.
Yeah,
I
thank
have a
you.
hard time hearing you.
He heard me.
Anyone else? Council Lazo.
Yeah, Mr. Blake, there were two, at subcommittee, it was hashed over plenty about the pros and cons of going forward with this. One of the things was the engineering portion, which concerned me the most. One of the residents brought it up, and it was a valid point of whether to have an in-house or do we go contract out. That question comes up with a lot of different things we do in the town. And from what I'm understanding, that you're very comfortable with an outside firm. I know that the manager has talked about it with the council. The thing that probably, the position itself, the one that's coming forward, are you in favor of this position being put in?
The deputy position? Yes.
Okay. I'm going to support it, but the thing that I'd like to do is, going forward, there are a lot of other structures in DPW, foreman, there's a lot of smaller positions. I would hope that you would look at that and do an overview of where we are. I know we're in the middle of a plan right now. I've been talking with the leadership of the council as far as building maintenance. We really don't have a building maintenance program or department. The school department does, a very good one, with HVAC, electrical. We're talking maybe a consolidation. There's a lot of good things that can come out of this. We're in a transition right now with one manager leaving, going into a search. We have an interim with a ton of experience, which I feel very comfortable not sitting idle. The town in the last 6 months on your position we seem to stumble as a community and never really get it done until you came onto the scene. So moving forward, I'm not interested in kicking any cans down the road. We've done a fine job of that in the last year. I think what we have to do is analyze what we're going to do going forward. I know that we have a lot of DPW workers that are very concerned, as I am, but to stop is not an option for me at this point. And I know that I've talked to some of the residents on it, and what do we do now? Wait longer and wait longer and wait longer. We want to get things done, and I think moving forward with some of the stuff, I'm not interested in hurry up and every little position get filled in, and I do like the idea of posting, but I really think that you have to weigh in with your workers and with your department.
Right.
And I will support the recommendations if they're fair and firm and good for the town of Southbridge. I put the town first.
Right.
That's the way I am, and that's the way I'll always be.
That's the way it should
like
be.
it or not, that's the way it is. Thank you.
Very good. Anyone else? Councilor Rivas.
Thank you, Mr. Benoit, for answering some of my questions that I had. My question is, you talked a little bit about having the engineering in this position. What is in your opinion, the cost effectiveness? And I know you mentioned being a difficult thing to find someone that would have a broad range of experience. Do you, in your opinion, do you think that having consultants doing the engineering piece and taking that out of this position is cost effective for our community?
I think that obviously if we could fill the position with somebody that was an engineer, that if we could find somebody to do the job, to fit that description moving forward, would it be more cost effective for the town? Possibly. Do I still think that we would probably be outsourcing things for larger projects that person might not have the experience with? Yes. So it is definitely it's a difficult thing to judge, and I think that, the way that things are currently in the job market, there's so many people out there that want to focus on their job, and they don't want to have a mixed bag to deal with when they go to work, and finding somebody that has the appropriate experience that also holds an engineering degree, I think is going to be like finding a needle in a haystack in today's market. So it becomes difficult. I think, yes, we could probably make it work better for the town if we could find that person. I just don't know if that's going to happen.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Councilor Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. I'm happy to have your input about the job description, because that really helps in my mind, because you should be involved. I just have a couple of technical questions and then a statement. Did you actually sit down and physically go through both job descriptions and what were the changes?
I have not.
Okay. The reason I ask is I think all the intentions here were done really well, but I tend to agree with Councilor Marchetti on this. I think we should have done the job description first before we attach it to somebody. I think that what we're going to be discussing the candidate later, nothing wrong with the candidate, love the candidate. It's about process for me. It bothers me that we didn't have a discussion up here first, have a vote, and put it out to the public with that description of what has been changed before we sent it up. Nothing personal, I just think it's process that we have the public know what changes have been made. They have the time, and if it was important enough that we had to fill right away, we could have had extra meetings, we could have scheduled special meetings to have that discussion. But I think it's important for public transparency that the job description be approved first and approved by this council before we attach somebody here, because it does create the illusion even if it's not accurate, of this being made for that person, which I know is not the case. But it's our jobs to make sure, as a council, that we do our best to eliminate those perceptions. So my only problem is with the process, and while I support the job description as it is, I have to vote no because I don't believe the process was done on this particular agenda item. Thank you.
Very good. Anyone else? Are there any citizens that wish to approach and speak to the agenda item?
Right there. Hi, Denise Clemens, 128 Country Club Place. So we appear to be the horse before the cart scenario here. We've just heard from the new DPW director, and even he made the comment that he couldn't say the cost effectiveness of this change, what it could be or what it couldn't be. We heard at the meeting that a council hadn't made a decision yet in terms of engineering. And I think the one thing that you have to really consider with what you are considering here in a change of job description is that you're acting on the premise that we can't get someone with an engineering background. And I don't say an engineering degree. How about someone who just has some engineering experience, who has read the blueprints, who has done the work, who understands what's going on? Because as the job description reads, engineering background originally and experience counted. But instead that was pulled out and water and sewer was inserted. The job was never posted. It was open for months. The previous director left in, I think, November, December, the previous deputy director, excuse me, and the director herself was gone last summer or something. And the world didn't fall apart, whatever it was, fall, summer, whenever she left. The world didn't fall apart, things kept running. But we didn't post that job. Why didn't we post that job? That makes no sense, right? But instead, we now have a job description that seemed to be devised within 2 weeks from hiring a director. Mr. Councilor Marchetti pointed out that in our own, in our charter, we have legalities in our, powers and duties of the director, Chapter 6 of our bylaws. Specific, no person shall be hired as an employee of the department without the consent of the director. We didn't have a director. We have a director. The director should be involved. By his own admission, he spent 45 minutes inside of our facility, perhaps, talking to being interviewed for his job, but how has he had the pulse on what's going on and what we need? Yes, we have a lot of projects that people mentioned that have been slowed down and sidetracked. This isn't going to change that. We have a director now. He's going to get these projects started and moving along. What could change is the morale and the overall appearance of what the general public sees by this council if we're rushing on a job description, which we haven't even found out whether there's something out there for us. Just like it's happened in the past. We talk about this. We give up before we even try. We should try. And if not, you don't want to post the job, at least sit down and discuss it, because in that DPW meeting, this job description was not really discussed. A lot of things were discussed, like who might get the promotion, but the job description itself was not really discussed. And I think that the director deserves to sit in on that communication and have a chance to weigh in and explain why. He's a new person. We don't know him. He doesn't know us. How about a conversation of what is his assessment of the needs of Southbridge? He's going to be here a long time, right? At least 3 years, we hope. What are the needs of Southbridge? Let's get the director's opinion, as our bylaws state we are supposed to. In our personal rules and regs, it also talks about all vacancies will be filled by permanent appointment, temporary appointment, promotion, provisional appointment, emergency appointment, seasonal appointment, transfer, demotion.
Excuse me 1 second, please. Your 3 minutes is up. Does
3
the
minutes,
council
what happened to 5?
Make a
It's
motion
3
to waive the
minutes
rules,
for-
extend the
For
time.
an agenda item,
Second.
3
Did we
minutes.
change that?
No,
Okay.
it's in the rules. We have a motion and a second to give another 2 minutes. Very good. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Anyone opposed?
Okay,
Please
thank you very
continue.
much. Let's see. We'll move on here. The point is, in the personal rules and regs, it talks about that the service shall be recommended by the department head for the qualified candidates and then submitted to the manager for final action. Once again, we need to have the DPW director involved in this. So I also would like to point out that at that meeting, there was conversation about an operations manager position opening up if we make these changes, working on hiring facilities managers, MS4s. All this sounds like a reorganization to me, not just the hiring or a promotion of one or two, in this case, as the next agenda items. So according to our charter, it's the town manager who puts together a organizational plan, and according to our bylaws, 3-109, reorganizational plan submitted by the manager, each proposed organizational plan must be filed by the manager pursuant to 451 of the town charter. It shall bear an identifying number, shall be accompanied by detailed statements of the manager, an explanation and reasons underlying the submission of the proposed plan, and the goals and objectives expected to result from the implementation of the plan. Point being, when you have a reorg plan and you have new jobs and you open up jobs and have to hire more, it's all at a cost. Now we have schedule change as the next agenda item. We can talk about the costs there if you should vote this job description. But I'm asking you to postpone this, send it back down to DPW, and have a conversation for the community. Now that they know that there are things going on, support your citizens. A lot of them are here tonight. I'm only here because of those who, contacted me directly. It was a long week last week. I was away. I watched it on YouTube. And I encourage you all, watch it on YouTube. But I am asking this council, respectively, to do your duty for this community and just postpone the job description and allow there to be a little more time. What is the rush? What is the actual rush? If you're going to promote the person anyway, how about we discuss it and make sure it's the right fit for this community? I ask you that sincerely. Thank you.
Jim Pioppi, 727 Tipton Rock Road. I'd like to say that, everybody knows my background, and I've long been frustrated with the past incompetence at the DPW, and have high hopes that Rich will help us out here. But I have to agree with Councilor Ryan's assessment of this doesn't look very well. The protocol of this doesn't look very well. And Mr. Benoit also said that, if we could find the right person, it would probably be to the benefit of the town. Somebody with an engineering background, not necessarily an engineer, somebody with strong background in road work and knowledge of supervising road work, and we haven't even made that attempt. And I think until we do, we're shortchanging Southbridge. And very honestly, we should get an assessment of Mr. Benoit, and he should get an assessment of us, and he should assess the needs of the town for more than 45 minutes, I think, before we make this decision. And I agree that it's premature, and if it is the right decision, what's the big deal in waiting a month? Everyone would be more comfortable, and I think if we looked around and saw what was out there, we'd feel better about it. It doesn't seem to make any sense to jump in this in a big hurry, and it kind of casts a suspicious light on the whole matter. Thank you.
Very good.
My name is Michael Palone. I work for the DPW. I'll be quick. The last time a description was changed to fit somebody, history shows it didn't work. I've been here almost 10 years. I have guys at the back of the room that have been here 20 and over 30 years. And there's never been a job that has just been promoted within our building. It was always posted. Doesn't make sense to start changing things now. Thank you.
There you go, Scott. The answer to the big mystery. Richard Polo, 227 Mercy Street. I went to that subcommittee meeting, kind of putting the cart before the horse. We don't know if engineering's staying with the town or going private. The other problem that I had at that meeting was I was looking at all the guys that you were there, like 20 years, 30 years. in my opinion, it's a reflection of the leadership right now. If they were in support of him, if he was doing that good of a job, they would be there fighting for him, not fighting against him. That's all I got to say. Maybe postponing it is the best thing. That's all.
Thank you.
John Lisi, 11 Crestview Drive. I work for the DPW also. I agree with Council Ryan. I think this thing should be postponed. We don't know what this new director is going to do. I think he should deserve the right to evaluate his employees. I've been here 27 years. Promotion has never been given before, so why start now? I think it should be posted, just like everybody else said. It should be posted. We're supposed to be an equal opportunity employer. We're not right there with doing that. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Anyone else? Councilor Marquetti.
I'd like to make a motion to postpone it, send it back to DPW for further discussion.
Say that again, please. I didn't catch that.
I'd like to postpone it and send it back to DPW subcommittee for further discussion.
So you'd like to refer back to DPW?
Well, okay, if that's the proper way to say it, then that's what I want to do. I want to refer it back to DPW. Thank you.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilor Marquetti and a second by Councilor Ryan to refer this item back to DPW subcommittee. Any discussion? Councilor Lazo.
Under the motion to refer through the chair, what do you want to do at subcommittee? Explain to me what will be your procedure or act once we refer back the good points, the bad points of what we need to do.
Well, I think that it would be a good idea if Mr. Benoit, we meet after he's on the job, he looks at the position, and I'd like to hear what he has to say about this position and the other agenda items tonight. So that would be my point, to get more input from Mr. Benoit discussing this position, whether he wants to, if I have to go into further detail, whether he wants to keep an engineering part of it, whether he wants to eliminate that part of it. I would just like to hear more about it.
Thank you.
Councilor Montigny.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just curious. I know it was stated at subcommittee the other day, but the town manager, Mr. McCall, was involved. HR was involved. Butch Jackson was involved. We've now heard that through phone calls or discussions with Mr. McCall, the opinion of the current DPW director, and just now he said his opinion on the matter, which I feel isn't going to change after being here for another 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and going back to subcommittee. But is there anybody else that was involved with this that I'm forgetting? Because it seems like there's an awful lot of qualified people involved with this process.
Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I haven't spoke yet. There's a few councilors who had conversations with the town manager, the HR department. I won't tell who those councilors are unless they want to have that conversation out there, but I was one of them. I understand I'm not a DPW guy. I got that. I do know operations very, very well. I grew up on operations all the way through. And so, yes, we talked about it. Why? Because the fact is nothing was happening. Nothing was moving forward whatsoever. We had waited for so long for a DPW director to come along, and we finally found one that we thought was good to go, and come to find out, he didn't even want to come to the town. And then I do believe the way the process worked, Mr. Benoit came across. We brought him on. The problem is we've had no movement whatsoever as a town council, as a town manager, as HR department, as a town period, within these positions itself. I did misspoke earlier to Mr. Piappi, and I got that clarified as soon as I walked upstairs about the posting. So I did misspeak. So I do want to clarify that. We've heard nothing but complaints about the DPW and not getting things done. And it's not the DPW's fault. It's not the staff's fault. It's the pandemic's fault. It's not being able to bring in the right people at the right time. We've had ups and downs through the whole process. We had buildings that are falling apart because we never changed who we were as a town. And so, yeah, I was part of that discussion. Absolutely, I was. That is part of my responsibility. And believe it or not, I do understand that you have a lot of people that came up here today to maybe want to postpone it. And I respect that right to do that. But I also had a lot of other people calling, texting, whatever it may be, saying we need to move forward, saying they support it, all that kind of stuff. And sometimes they're just not, they don't want to come up here and speak because they feel like there's a repercussion issue. So at that point in time, yeah, I was part of it. Any other councils want to say what they need to say, but I have no problem saying that I was part of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good. Councilor Marquetti.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. With Councilor Adams and Councilor Montigny, they've proven my point. It's not the councilors and it's not the town manager, it's the DPW director that needs to be involved in this. No councilor should be telling anybody to hire anybody around here.
Time out.
It is
Point
up
of
to
clarification.
I have a right to speak here.
But you're accusing me at this point in time.
I'm not
of
accusing you
fabricating-
personally.
Gentlemen.
So, point of clarification. I didn't tell anybody who to hire on. You talked about the position.
All right,
not
point,
the person.
point
Remember,
well
it's the
taken. I'm
position.
just saying
Thank
that
you.
councilors should not be involved in the process, that's all. It's up to the new DPW director to recommend to the town manager. And he's even admitted tonight he did not spend that much time. So that's why I'm asking be referred back to DPW. Now, point of clarification, if this was a postponement, could we continue or referring? It's the same thing, correct?
No, postponement would remain on this.
Can we move it to another town council without going back to DPW?
Correct.
All right, so we'll leave it as refer. And you can have, all right, thank you.
Very good. Councilor Lazo.
I think the motion that is correct to refer.
All right.
When you refer back to subcommittee, it's for further work, and then you continue to work on it. If I can direct this question to the town manager, because I understand the engineering portion, and there were answers at the meeting, and I felt comfortable with the answers. Was the DPW director involved in any way, shape, or manner with the reorganization portion?
So, I've heard a lot of comments made. There's no reorganization that's undergoing. We have talked, we have listened, there's been direction from the council that we should look at a facilities manager, stormwater. Talked about that, I put it in my budget letter. At the moment, there is no proposal on the table to do a complete overhaul or reorg of DPW. That'll likely be the charge of the incoming DPW director, the interim, or the ultimate new town manager. What we were looking to address here were two promotions. These are management positions not in the union, and the union requires them to be posted. This, after consulting with HR, they inform me that it is standard practice that if you're promoting someone, you don't have to post it. It isn't a violation of equal opportunity. So he was consulted at some point. I can't tell you exactly during the crafting or editing of those particular job descriptions, but I did consult him about the individuals and what was going on. I couldn't tell you exactly what dates were which, though.
But he wasn't outside the loop. Okay, thank you.
Can I speak?
Yeah, it's a motion. I guess you're going to speak to it.
I just want to say I sympathize with Council Adams' frustrations with, not getting anything done, and it's really a result of we as a town tolerating very incompetent people. And, that's why we're in this position. I mean, the incompetence of the last director drove a 30-year veteran out of here.
Mr. Pioppi, please. We're not getting into personalities tonight.
Okay, well, it's true, but anyway.
Please.
We had a 30-year operations guy that left because of that. Then, Phil was good enough to step up. But I think the point is, Mr. Benoit made the point, if we could find the right person with the engineering background, it would be a benefit. It might be highly unlikely that we do, but aren't we shortchanging Southbridge if we don't try? I mean, this isn't a fire. There's nothing miraculous is going to happen in a month. I don't see how you guys wouldn't try to do the best for Southbridge and explore what's out there. And if Phil's the best choice, we'll give it to Phil. But until we post it and see what's out there, and how can you think that you made any kind of informed decision for the town of Southbridge?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Councilor Dow hasn't spoken yet, and then Councilor Adams.
Thank you.
Councilor Lazo. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. I think Phil, he improved himself. 6 months, he take the operation, and we recommend him to apply for the DPW position, not the second command. We want him number one, because he did great when he took over the
Mr. Chairman,
operation.
Counselor,
This is about the
Counselor,
motion to
we're
postpone.
speaking to the motion to refer at
I'm
this point.
respond back, whatever everybody make a comment, okay? They're saying we're not doing good for the town of Southbridge. So I need to clear a little bit.
Keep it close.
We already have experience posting jobs, bring somebody from outside, train him, give him the job, get good experience, a lot of experience, go apply somewhere else and get more money. We lose it, we're gonna hire again. This guy, 14 years, worked for the town of Southbridge. We never heard anything bad about him. We never heard he didn't do his job. I think he deserved a chance more than anybody else. He's gonna apply new to come to town. What's going on? I've been 2.5 years in that council right here. DPW is a mess. Engineer never did his job. Look Main Street. It's always excuses. Every time we want to promote somebody from in-house, everybody will come and complain. I think it's jealousy, nothing else. Thank you.
Very good. Councilor Oslo? Councilor Adams.
Just to ask the town manager real quick. I know the agenda item we're on, but it kind of conveys that. When we had the assistant to the engineer position, did we have, when we changed that from the assistant to the engineer to the construction inspector, did we have, I would say, did we have Matt at the time? I don't mean to use his name, but the deputy director.
So, memory serves me correct, the original incarnation of that position was here, well, both the prior DPW director and the prior deputy director were here. I think most recently, when it went to subcommittee, they changed it to the construction inspection. I think it was after both those individuals left, and that Mr. Jackson was the interim.
I just wanted to clarify that though we have an interim at the time, and we still do have the interim, and now we have a DPW director, what I'm trying to point out is that subcommittee didn't have a problem with that at that point in time to move that change of job description forward. But now we do have a problem. Not sure where that's going. So I'm just making a point. Thank you.
Councilor Oslo.
I'm having a tug of war here with the referral to subcommittee. I'm a big fan of subcommittee. I'm not against referrals. The thing that keeps kicking me is that I just talked to the DPW director and said he has no problem with it. When I turned around and asked him going forward, does he have a problem with the engineering portion? He didn't have a problem with it. And a point of clarification, when the previous speaker spoke and mentioned the former director, as long as you're not mentioning names, you can say former director, incompetent in the same line, it's fine parliamentary-wise. So when I say, if you look at the leadership that we had, it was faulted, okay? And we dabbled in different ideas, and people were in, they were out. It's been delayed so many times that I'm at the point here not to refer. That's why I asked, what would be your reason for refer? Refer to what? Refer to ask more questions, refer to this? Technically, you have Butch as the DPW director. That covers your charter. It doesn't say full-time director to make this decision. You have a director. We appointed Butch to do the job. He's doing the job. At the same time, we have another one coming in, and I'm sitting here saying, postpone it for what? I'm trying to get some meat and potatoes on this referral so I can vote for it. I can't. I can't vote to refer because the DPW director that's appointed said he has no problem with it. And then the director that was before him, the acting director, was directly involved in the hiring of the director and the other position. So why are we delaying it? And I'm trying to look for, sympathetic to the men, the foot soldiers, I want to refer. But I don't have 1 ounce of anything to refer. As far as the engineering portion, Moose Pallone, gentleman that came up, brought it up at subcommittee. It was one of the pieces that I had a problem with. And the answer was, we talked about it, it was hashed over, and they thought this was a better way to go. And the players are there, so either Butch, we don't want to pay attention to him, now we want the next guy. I mean, I'm chasing my tail on this issue. That's why I'm having a hard time kicking it down the road again. We did this enough. And we did have some weak leadership in DPW that a lot of things didn't get done. I listed them in meetings before. When I come to a meeting and water's pouring out of the ceiling at the chamber, and 4 years we've been waiting, then all of a sudden we have a little shakeup. Some people leave and some people take charge, and everything seems to be getting done. So whatever's happening, it's all good. It's just I'm not sure I want to kick this down the road because we have an acting director and a director now, and the director now says no problem, move it forward. So I'm sitting here. It's a tug of war right now. Thank you.
Mr. Lazo, I'd just like to clarify one thing. I think what Mr. Benoit said is he didn't have a problem with it going that way, but if we could find the right person with the engineering background, it could be better, but it might be like finding a needle in a haystack. That's where his exact words. So we're going to shortchange the town of Southbridge and not wait a month and take that risk and chance and see if we can find a needle in the haystack? I mean, I strove my whole life to do as good of a job as I could against the odds that seemed insurmountable, and somehow pulled it off. And I don't, I understand your frustrations, and I agree with them really, but I just think that a hasty move is a bad move right now because it casts a bad light on the decision, and it's really not being open-minded to see what's out there for the town of Southbridge. And I think we should let Mr. Benoit get comfortable with everybody and assess everybody. And in a short time, it'll just seem like a much better decision, whatever it is. This decision seems like it's getting pushed down everyone's throats. And if you guys are supposed to represent the people, the people's opinion, I mean, obviously there's plenty of people here that are concerned about the decisions. So I think the solution is not to bring it back to DPW subcommittee. I think the solution is to post the job, see what we get, and if Phil's the best candidate, give him the job.
Thank you.
I don't think it does any good to go back to subcommittee. But I don't think if you post it and see what's out there, you're giving Southbridge a fair shake. I know you're not.
Thank you, Mr. Payopi.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, just point of,
Councilor Adams.
I understand we have a time limit as far as residents coming up here to speak. If we're going to keep going over the same stuff, I'd like to just move that along. Thank you.
Very good. Councilor Oslo?
Just a quick comment. say we approve this here tonight, and we go into a full swing with the position. The reason why they put erasers on pencils, that if we make a mistake, we can go back and change it. But I don't think it's a mistake. I think a mistake is delaying it further. Look what happened to the previous directorship, that director that we were looking at from North Brookfield. Look at the game that was played on us there. Months. And we came up with nothing. I think it's time to act on it. And if I make a mistake on it, I'll be the first one to come up here and say, change it. Let's get back to the old model. And we can change it. Thank you.
Council Montigny.
Thank you. Kind of have a lot of similar views on this, but one thing about posting the position, you're basically calling the town manager wrong when he says that it doesn't have to be posted if it's not a union position. So I'm going to take his word for it. When it comes to the people's opinion, I feel that when I was elected, I was supposed to vote my conscience, and that's the reason that people voted for me. And for that, I think wasting more time on this is what's bad for the people. It's been referred to by previous speakers as needle in a haystack. If we promote the person who this is about, and in regards to postponement, continue, not waste any time, nobody's going to just start doing bad work, especially the previous speaker does excellent work. So you think we could find the right guy, a needle in a haystack? I think the one that we have right now is going to keep improving. Manager said, again, I have to repeat myself here because people just don't seem to grasp it. The manager had calls with Mr. Benoit prior to this. And I realize Mr. Benoit's at the podium right now, but he said he's in favor. He didn't say, I don't know. He didn't say, I don't feel comfortable. He said he recommended with a straight look on his face that he's in favor of this. And that's good enough for me. I've been told by so many people now, qualified people, that I feel like I am making a good decision for the citizens of this town. Thank you.
Do you have comments directed to the refer to council committee, subcommittee motion?
Yes, one brief thing that I would like to say, just this, from an outsider looking in as the new person here, just kind of seeing how all this is laying out. Obviously, there's a lot of soon to be familiar faces that are standing in the back of the room that are kind of watching this very closely. I'm not going to retract my prior statement that I said earlier. What I will say is that make your decision carefully for all of the people that are in the room, not just the people that are sitting up here or the people that might be sitting in the audience that are going to get promoted, because the last thing that I need right now taking over a new position, I'm here because I was asked to be here tonight just to offer my opinion on certain things. Unfortunately, a lot of it is something that I don't know anything about yet. I kind of feel a little bit put on the spot for it because I haven't been involved in this process. So I'm kind of up here just trying to wade through the waves and figure it out as I go. And unfortunately, I also feel like that's not fair to myself. And it's not fair to the people that are going to be working underneath me because I don't want to make the wrong decision for the facility. So I think, this is my personal opinion, you do what you want, but I feel very strongly at this moment that it would probably be in the best interest of the town and this commission and the members that are here from the Public Works Department to hold this back a little bit. Let me take my job. Let me come in. Let me figure out how it works. Let me sit down with the people that make the decisions, the commissions and whatnot, and figure out what's happening, where we're going, what needs to happen. Because after hearing all this here tonight, I don't think it's fair to make that decision right now because I can't give you my honest opinion on it because I don't know anything about it.
Mr. Chairman?
Sure.
Mr. Chairman?
Are you done? Councilor Marquetti.
Mr. Chairman, if you would prefer just to postpone it, I'm okay with that too. I was under the understanding that it had to go back to DPW, but if you want to postpone it, that's fine with me as well.
You've made a motion to refer back to
I have.
DPW and it's been seconded. That's the motion on the floor at this
Okay.
time.
That's fine.
I'll withdraw my second over postponement.
The motion's on the floor. It cannot be withdrawn by a committee, by a council member. It has to be withdrawn by the council,
Okay.
according to Robert's rules.
Okay.
I didn't know that.
All right, I respect the will of the chair.
Thank you.
I will also say one more thing, that this notion that you don't have to post something just because it's not union, well, I mean, I'm sure that could be used, that excuse could be used a lot when you talk about the glass ceiling, when you talk about hiring minorities, when you talk about hiring anybody. We don't have to post it. It's not there's no equal opportunity involved here. It's a promotion. I'm sure that's been used a lot. So I feel it'd be better to post the position, that's all. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I stand by the fact that we have quite a talented and diverse workforce here, and we've never discriminated against anybody. But what I will tell you, though, we're recognizing people, and we've been trying to recognize people for their achievements internally and promote internally, and the people that have been coming up through the ranks. I've been asked to do that. And so it's funny, every time I try and do something I'm asked, I get challenges to it. So I understand that's part of the process, but I want to let you know that we tread very lightly to ensure that we are getting the right people and following the law. And if there's any question, my HR professional, the assistant town manager is here to answer any of those questions. All right, thank you.
Very good. You have a motion on the floor to refer back to DPW. Sir.
One quick thing.
Thank
We've
you.
had a heavy equipment position open for well over a year. We were told no promotions until the new director gets in. That's it. I don't know. The other thing about the non-union thing not being posted, this construction inspection position is not union, and it's posted. It wasn't just a promotion made.
So these are point of clarification. That's a brand-new job that we're putting out. It's slightly different.
So would this be in changing the qualifications?
It's a pre-existing position.
Okay, gentlemen. Thank you. We have a motion on the floor to refer back to DPW subcommittee. It's been seconded. Councilman Tigney.
Thank you. Sure sounded like a retraction of statements, but what I need to remind everybody is that the amount of people involved that have vetted this, including many concerned citizens for almost 2 hours, the amount of taxpayer dollars spent on the salaries of the people that have given me their professional opinions is so much money that what's best for the people of this town is what I will do when I vote. I will vote no on postponement and yes on the motion. Thank you.
Council Lazo.
It's kind of confusing. The DPW director gets up. I did not vote for this DPW director, but I am supportive of the DPW director. He is now my director, so I am supportive of him. But I'm getting a mixed message from him. And to me, I'm just going to lay it out there. When you talk about people, Mr. Benoit, there's 18,000 people in the town of Southbridge, maybe 8,000 registered voters. That's people, not 25 or 50 people. I've been in this chamber on ambulance issues, on various things over the years. They pack the chamber and they tell you, and you try and sort through and you sift through what's in the best interest of all the people. And I'm sitting here getting a mixed message from a department head. And now, going forward, I'm saying, what do we do? Postpone it? For the betterment of what? To postpone, to kick the can down the road further. I'm getting mixed messages. Thank you.
Can I have 10 seconds to clarify, please?
Certainly.
I know you guys want to get through this. It's not myself pointing out just the people that are in this room. I understand, and I've said this before, everything that I want to do for this department also needs to be for the town. My statement was in regards to the people that are standing over there in the corner that are going to be my employees starting next week. Their morale in the facility and having all this question and fog in the air when they're getting a new boss that they don't know which direction I'm going, they don't know what's coming, they don't know how I'm going to handle things. They know what they've been dealt in the past. So for me coming into this, the last thing that I want is this fog to be overlying my facility and have people over there in the corner questioning where I stand. I don't stand against anybody here or anybody that's on the television or anybody that's going to hear about this tomorrow. This is my job. I work for the town of Southbridge. I am for everybody here. But I am also for making sure that the department that I am going to be in control of is going to function properly. And there is so much animosity going on in this room tonight that if you let it go as it is, it's not going to be good for the department. That's all I ask, is to let me take over my position, and then we'll figure out where we're going to go. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Councilor Rivas.
Thank you, Mr. Benoit. I wouldn't be in favor of referring it back to the subcommittee. I think that the discussion in the subcommittee was unfortunate, and how the conversation devolved into sort of attacks. I would be in favor of postponing to the next council meeting, because I do think that, in considering what Mr. Benoit is saying, is really important as the new leader of the department. And he's right. He does need to have some time. He doesn't want to come into a department where, people are, the morale is not, not okay right now because of whatever the appearance might be. I do not question the town manager or HR in what they did. I do not think that they did anything wrong. But I do think that Mr. Benoit does need some time to evaluate, what he wants to do moving forward. And I do think that's fair. But I don't think it should go back to subcommittee. I think it should be postponed and be reviewed at the next council meeting. Thank you.
Councilor Steves.
I wanted to ask Mr. Benoit if you could give us an idea of how much time do you think it would take for you to do the things that you would make you feel comfortable with the council actually voting on this item and the other items that are coming down the pike in the next couple of items? Because I think you might be aware, we do meet every 2 weeks. Would 2 weeks be enough? Would it be two or three meetings? Based on what granted, I realize you're new with it, so.
Your meetings are typically once a month?
Every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Okay. So today is February 13th.
Yep.
So your next meeting will be February 27th. So
It might be the 6th, which is
the week of. The week of.
Okay.
Per se, the week of. Okay.
Yeah.
So at that point in time, I will be in the position for less than a week.
Exactly.
So perhaps a 2-meeting postponement, just to
that's
let
kinda
me
what I
come
was
in,
thinking.
get the groundwork, figure out how this system works, how the facility works, what's going on, and then we move forward.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I believe there's a citizen I'm sorry, Councilor Dow.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. Postpone it and bring it back here is not going to help. Everybody complain or whatever the concern is, the job's not posted, give somebody else chance. So what are we doing here? We postpone it, we'll bring it back, the same thing. We're going to have the same argument, same complaint. Either bring it back, start from fresh, or continue now here and finish it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am, you wish to approach?
Nancy Graff, Harwood, 561 South Street. I would just urge Councilor Montigny to reconsider his position. I don't know if you're aware, I'm certain you are, of how things devolved at the DPW subcommittee meeting. A statement was made that this promotion occurred for the reason, this was a quote from the director of HR, who's Ms. Rabita, and I hope I've said her name correctly, that the promotion occurred because these individuals, the promotion was decided because these people deserved merit and had earned merit, and the promotion was made at that directive. That was what they felt was appropriate at the time. Evidently, the promotion required a change in the qualifications for the job, which I think you might want to reconsider whether that makes any sense at all. However, given that, it further was stated that the requirements were changed because the town council had decided that there were no such requirements needed for engineering, and no such requirements needed by the subcommittee. Evidently, it was stated had decided that as well. That was contradicted by not only Councilor Steves, but at the subcommittee, by various members of the subcommittee. I would just ask you to reconsider your position, because it doesn't seem, first of all, first and foremost, I find it impossible to ignore what Mr. Benoit just said. I find it impossible to ignore that. So whatever I says is actually superfluous at this point. However, my point is, if you're basing your decision upon the fact that this was sufficiently vetted at the subcommittee level and at a process prior to that, I think that you're mistaken, because there were grave inconsistencies in the statements made as to how this whole promotion occurred. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just to respond, since my name was used, I appreciate your concerns. I was there at the DPW subcommittee meeting, and I appreciate your concerns.
Very good. I'd like
Just one last thing for me, just 1 minute.
to the motion to
To the
refer.
motion. It is to the motion, because it's something Councilor Rivas said.
Thank you.
Councilor Rivas said she, preferred to postpone. The concern, and you brought up the contentiousness that was at that meeting, but you have to understand the mindset. I watched it. I wasn't there, but I watched it. The meeting was posted, and immediately there was this entire, 2 weeks ago, you hired a director. Suddenly there was a job description change of the next level posted, and people went, and that was the first they heard about it. And it was coming to this meeting within 5 days, 4 days. So there was not room for much discussion, and you had people going in saying, what is this going on? What kind of quick policy is this? So I think subcommittee can be a really good place to discuss a lot of things. I also think it would give Mr. Benoit a chance to participate in a subcommittee situation in which people actually are reasonably discussing things. While they disagree, that's normal in subcommittee. But ultimately, to discuss the job description, decide whether taking out the engineering component completely was relevant or not, or that it needs to have some engineering and water sewer and whatever, but give a chance to discuss. When Councilor Lazo said, why is it going back? It's referred to discuss the job description, which truly wasn't discussed at that meeting. Besides, why do we have an engineer and why wasn't it posted? Those are the main things that I got from watching that, was there just was no discussion on the subject matter you're about to vote on. So I would strongly suggest it refers back. I believe you will have a much more civil, because it was uncivil, civil meeting, because you get the committee and the director to put his concerns and the respect for his position at this point. So I would just ask it goes to subcommittee, because that really is the place that it should go. If you postpone, what are you going to do? Have a council of the whole meeting somewhere along the line? What is that? That makes no sense to just postpone to another meeting. Councilor Dow, I agree with that point, that you'll just have people going, how come we can't be heard again? Let's have a discussion like subcommittee's supposed to do. Councilor Lazo, you say it all the time. We hash it all out in subcommittee. We do the work. I think you said it that night, as a matter of fact, if I recall. So refer it to subcommittee, let the job get done, let the director do his thing, and be transparent for the community. By the way, it wasn't posted. How could we have moved forward with anything, Councilor Adams? It was never posted. So yeah, things got bottled up. We didn't have a director. We didn't post a deputy director. How could we do anything? It wasn't posted. So that's just my comments. Thank you.
Mr. Pioppi, at this point, you've
Just
spoken a couple of
one more
times.
thing. I think, Rich showed us that he's got some leadership ability. Rather than put a time limit on when he has to show up here and pick somebody, it says in the charter that it's up to the director to appoint the deputy director. Why don't we wait till he's comfortable and ready and comes to you guys and says he's ready,
Thank you.
instead of giving him a time limit?
Thank you. All right, we have a motion on the floor to refer back to DPW. Roll call vote.
This is postponement?
No, refer back.
Thank you.
Councilor Dow?
Yes.
Councilor Lazo?
No.
Councilor Marquetti?
Yes.
Councilor Montigny?
No.
Councilor Rivas?
No.
Counselor Ryan?
Yes.
Counselor Steves?
Yes.
Counselor Adams?
No.
Counselor Daniel?
No. Motion fails to refer back to DPW. We're back to the original motion. Vote to accept
What
the
was the
revised...
result? Mr. Chair, I'm sorry.
Just a second. Vote to accept the revised job description for DPW Deputy Director. Counselor Ryan, I believe you want to take the floor?
Yeah, I just wanted to know what the result was. You just said
I'm
it
sorry.
failed. I didn't know what I marked.
4 in favor, 5 against.
Thank you, that's it.
Okay. Very good. So we're back to the original motion. Vote to accept the revised job description for DPW Deputy Director. Council Steves.
I'd like to move to postpone to 2 meetings from now.
Second.
March 6th?
Move to
It's
postpone
March
to 2 meetings
6th.
from now.
I think it's March 6th.
Whatever day that is. March 6th, yes.
13.
And I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
13th.
Is it 6th or 13th?
I believe it's the 13th.
All right, so 13th.
Okay. Let me confirm that.
I'm sorry, who seconded that?
Hold on.
I think Jackie did.
Yeah. It was the 13th.
Okay.
Yep.
13th.
Okay.
That's correct. This would be motion to postpone this agenda item until March 13th.
Yep.
Second?
We have a motion by Councilor Steves, seconded by Councilor Marquetti to postpone to March 13th. Any discussion on the postponement motion? We've pretty much taken care of it. Very good. Roll call vote.
Counselor Lazo?
Yes.
Counselor Marquetti?
Yes.
Counselor Montigny?
No.
Counselor Rivas?
Yes.
Counselor Ryan?
Yes.
Counselor Steves?
Yes.
Counselor Adams?
No.
Counselor Daniel?
No.
Counselor Dow?
No.
And Counselor Lazo. I think I asked you twice, sorry.
Motion succeeds, 5 votes to 4. Motion is postponed. Agenda item 12 is postponed until March 13th.
So,
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Chairman, I would say that the next, oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, well, I was going to move that we postpone the next 2 agenda items since
Yep.
the job description has been postponed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Second.
So I have a motion by Councilor Ryan to postpone items number 13 and 14 to March 13th,
Second.
and a second by Councilor Steves. Any discussion?
Can you read that again?
Sure. We have a motion to postpone agenda items 13 and 14 to March 13th.
So
As they were rendered
just
moot.
clarification, this is moving it to the second, the first meeting in March, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Any discussion on the motion to postpone these 2 agenda items? Very good. Roll call.
Counselor Marquetti?
Yes.
Counselor Montigny?
No.
Counselor Rivas?
Yes.
Counselor Ryan?
Yes.
Counselor Steves?
Yes.
Counselor Daniel?
Yes.
Counselor Dow?
No.
Counselor Lazo?
I abstain.
5, 6, 7, 8. That's 8.
Councilor Adams?
Councilor Adams.
4,
Counselor Adams.
1.
Sue?
You skipped.
You missed
You
Counselor.
skipped Councilor Adams.
Really?
Yeah, again,
Counselor Adams.
that's okay. Yes.
Motion passes 6-2 with 1 abstention. Councilor Lazo abstaining. Very good. So items number 13 and 14 are postponed until March 13th. We move up to item 15, vote to accept the revised job description for Senior Public Works Foreman.
Mr. Chairman?
Motion by Councilor Adams,
Second?
second by Councilor Montigny. Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This vote was 3 in favor, 1 against, and 1 abstain, so the motion was approved. I'm wondering if we should postpone the rest of them as well. I mean,
That's exactly
it's
what
the
I was
same issue, is it not?
Yes. It is.
It's Councilor Steves first.
Okay, I will move to postpone the next 3 items 15, 16, and 17, also to March 13th.
Second.
Since they're all related.
We have a motion by Council Steves, a second by Council Ryan to postpone items number 15, 16, and 17 to March 13th. Any discussion?
Yeah, I do.
Councilor Adams.
Thank you. I don't believe they're one and the same, obviously. Subcommittee recommended they coming back up here with a positive recommendation, whereas the other one was a negative recommendation, and that's my simple answer.
Council Steves.
On all of those items, I actually voted to abstain at the subcommittee meeting for the same reason, because as I had mentioned earlier, I believe that the DPW director needs to weigh in on these issues too. And as he pointed out a few minutes ago regarding his direct second in command, I think it makes a lot more sense to have any of the other position changes in the DPW be something that he has a chance to have a say in. And if we're going to have this, the assistant director be doing that at the 13th, it makes sense to do this there, sir.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Councilor Marquetti and then Councilor Montigny.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, I don't really want to talk for everyone else, but I know the meeting was getting to the point where people just felt that their vote didn't count anymore. Might as well just send it up. If we can't we tried postponing it, but they said, some of them said to me, well, if we can't do anything, we might as well just send it up. And I think that's the reason they voted on it. Thank you.
Very good. Councilor Montigny.
Yeah, I don't believe this has anything to do with engineering, so I'm in favor of going forward with this. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi there, me again.
Ms. Clements.
Thank you. Denise Clements, 128 Country Club Place. I agree with what Councilor Marquetti said. If anybody who watches that meeting will see the same thing, that there were people that sat at the table, the committee members, and said, well, it's not going to matter how I vote, I might as well just vote to send it up. I'm just voting to send it up, was the comment. And I was really surprised to hear that, because everybody's vote should be counted in the way that it was intended. As far as abstaining, if you truly thought it needed more, you should have just said no, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. But I feel strongly as well that, I mean, as a citizen watching this, and you've got a new DPW director, he needs to weigh in. It's all premature, and it's multiple changes with proposed other changes, 3 other positions noted. That's really a big change going on, a big proposal going on in that DPW. Budget's coming up, everything else. You really need to discuss how it's going to be funded and the rest. So, thanks.
Very good. We have a motion on the floor and a second to move items 15, 16, and 17 to March 13th. Any further discussion?
I'm good.
Okay. Very good. All those in favor by roll call vote.
Councilor Montigny.
No.
Councilor Rivas.
Yes.
Councilor Ryan.
Yes.
Councilor Steves.
Yes.
Councilor Daniel.
You forgot Councilor
I was
Adams.
going to go back for him.
The hell?
My little things cover up your name. Councilor Adams.
No.
Now I'm confused. Councilor Daniel.
No.
Councilor Dow.
No.
Councilor Lazo.
Don't know where he is.
He left the meeting.
Councilor Marquetti.
Yes,
Councilor Montigny.
he
You
voted.
already,
There you go.
yeah.
Very good. I have 4 votes in favor, 4 votes against. It's a tie vote. The motion fails. We move on to agenda item number 15 again. Vote to accept the revised job description for senior public works foreman.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Montigny, second by Councilor Dow. Discussion. Councilor Marquetti again. You already reported on this?
Yes, it was
Very
3
good.
in favor, 1 against, and 1 abstained, so the
Thank you.
motion carried.
Thank you very much. Any further discussion? Sir.
I just have a question. Is this a salaried position or is this hourly?
I believe it's an hourly position.
May I ask why if it's management?
Well, I believe it's non-union, it's a foreman supervisory position. That's,
Those aren't usually salary, because it would seem to me they should be.
historically, since I've been here, those positions on the Schedule 1 have been hourly. That's all I can tell you.
Well, I know when the, how do I say, 2 times ago, operations manager was here, he was hourly. And once they made that position became open, it went salary.
Now, I'm not sure when that position was formulated. I think it was created right before I got here. The position was filled right when I arrived, so the job description may have been modified before I was here. I have no recollection of that.
Yeah, to clarify, Mr. Pallone, I do remember that case. It had to do with the overtime issues that was happening. So he was making that individual was making a certain amount of money. I guess it was past practice. They were making that certain amount of money. And then there was that overtime pay at the same time. Even though they were considered in that management position, why would we pay a manager hourly instead of salary? And that was the whole purpose. I believe it may have happened right the following year after Ms. Clements got off the council. You're maybe on General Gov, I think, when we changed that over. That was the purpose at the time.
My other question is this job going to be posted?
So,
go ahead. No, I'm done.
Again, like the other one, this was for promotional purposes, so it was not. I don't believe it's covered under the collective bargaining agreement.
I understand that, but when did we change past practice in our building? Because I have guys that have been here over 30 years that'll tell you this has never happened without being posted. Just doesn't seem fair and equal opportunity, as everybody likes to talk about.
Equal opportunity is when we are putting oftentimes a brand-new position or a complete vacancy. This is not the case at this time. So.
I'd like to ask a question. Hey, Glenn, if they don't give you this raise, you going to leave? Huh?
Please speak into the microphone,
Okay,
Mr.
sorry.
Pioppi.
Hey, excuse me.
Mr. Pioppi. Mr. Pioppi, please speak into the microphone.
Oh, sorry. I said, Glenn, if you don't receive this raise, are you going to leave your position?
That's not acceptable to ask here in front of the council.
Well, that's what this whole thing is predicated on.
That's not acceptable.
That's his private decision.
That's out of order.
Well, it's affecting our public money.
That's not acceptable. That's not what the council is debating here. All we're talking about is the job description. That's all. Strictly the job description.
That's
It's got nothing to do with the
desire to keep
person.
the guy for
It's
more
got
money.
nothing to do with the person. We're talking about the job description. Thank you.
Nancy Graff, Harvard, 561 South Street. I think it is appropriate to ask such a question. First of all, I'd ask why. What is the basis for your deeming it inappropriate? And secondly, if you go back to what I earlier stated, this position, in effect, what the HR director said at that meeting was that these positions were created as promotions to reward two individuals. And I think it's perfectly appropriate to ask those questions. If this position has been specifically tailor-created for an individual, I think it's appropriate. You've opened the door to ask them what their intentions are if the position is not granted. And I think that's appropriate. And you haven't established, what is the reason it's inappropriate?
That it's inappropriate because that's asking a person about his or her personal intentions, and I'm talking about the agenda item, which is to accept the revised job description. That's strictly it. Accept the revised job description for that position.
But the job was revised in order to create a tailor-made position for an individual. You've opened the door to ask that question.
Not to talk to the person and ask the person questions from the podium and put the person on the spot like that. I will not allow that. Thank you. Any further discussion?
The director said he hasn't had enough time to review everything yet. Would it be more important to get his input on that, number one? Number two, if the job was changed and created as a promotion because somebody was leaving to another town maybe, it's a maybe. when you tip your hat like that and show your hand and you kowtow to them, what's to stop everybody else from doing it?
We're talking about the job description, and that's
I know.
it. Just the job description, and that's it.
But the job description was created as a promotion because somebody was going to leave.
I would presume to speak for the town manager about, and
Okay,
the
that's
human
fine.
resources person about
That's
why
fine.
they decided to create the job.
That's fine.
That's their prerogative.
Okay, let's just ask.
No, I believe it's the DPW director's prerogative.
If I'm not mistaken, we just said that this is a new position. And I don't want to put words in his mouth, but what I heard earlier is the new director would like time to look these over and see what they are. To me, that says everything you guys should need to hear from the guy you appointed as the director.
That question was brought up. There was a motion to to postpone, and it was defeated.
I understand that, but apparently some people don't. Thank you.
Thank you.
Denise Clements, 128 Country Club Place, following the rules. The job description. It is Senior Public Works Foreman. Who decided we needed a Senior Public Works Foreman? And what happens to the existing job? Well, I guess it's twofold, right? I can ask that. I'm asking the first one. It's who decided we needed a Senior Public Works Foreman when we were working just fine under the system we had? Was that to get this, and let me add to that, you can answer two questions at once. Now, because the next agenda item is a schedule change. Schedule change would be required in order to give somebody more money. So who decided we could have a Senior Public Works Foreman, which would increase the budget, and where's that money coming from for that position? How's that?
So, Ms. Clements, and to everyone else, in order sometimes to ensure that we retain people, we have, if you've noticed, we've lost people, not only in DPW and a variety of other departments. More often than not, it's because they receive competing offers from other communities. You can just ask the police chief, other department heads, and we try to the best that we can to respond and see if we can make an in-kind offer, because we may not want to lose people based on the recommendations I get from the department head. We have a lot of positions where you may have a clerk 1, clerk 2, 3, not necessarily in this community, but in others. There can be a variety of ways to move up. As you duly noted, the next item deals with the salary table. There is no way really to go up on that salary in the current position. It's capped out. If I wanted to try and make an offer to an individual that's in a position who's been there for many years, the thought came to mind was that we will create a senior person to recognize their long-term commitment and the job they've been doing, so that it had a different salary line that might allow us to be competitive in making that offer. So that's where the genesis of that.
Okay, but generally, don't people get promoted and all because they bettered themselves in some way, shape, or form, took more courses, did something more, and then they could become the operations director or the deputy DPW director or the director even, because they've shown their desire to do that. So you're creating a job description, again, as I said, to spending more money. I would like to also make a note that on job descriptions, it was, and you made a comment, you said people have left us for money and such. There was a comment made at the meeting that our previous DPW, deputy director left, because of more money, but that's not the reason he left. That wasn't the sole deciding factor. It was comments and actions by council members. So we should be really clear, because when publicly a councilor says it's because of money, it wasn't. And you should maybe pay attention to that. That's why we lose people in this town. So I would suggest, like others, that maybe the DPW director have some weigh in as to what positions are needed in his shop.
Very good. We have a motion on the floor to vote to accept the revised job description for Senior Public Works Foreman. An affirmative vote means that you accept the job description. A negative vote means that you don't want to accept the job description. Everyone clear? Counselor Rivas.
If we vote in the negative, can the director bring back the description at a later date?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Counselor Rivas.
No.
Counselor Ryan.
No.
Counselor Steves.
No.
Counselor Adams.
No.
Counselor Daniel.
Yes.
Counselor Dow.
No.
Counselor Marquetti.
No.
Counselor Montigny.
Yes.
2 yeses and 6 noes, the motion fails. Okay, that renders the next 2 items moot. I'll take a motion to postpone these 2 items to a later date. I assume we're talking March 13th, for lack of a better term.
So moved.
So moved.
Councilor
moved.
Rivas makes that motion. Councilor
Second.
Marquetti seconds the motion. We have a motion and a second on the floor to postpone agenda items 16 and 17 to March 13th. Everyone all set? Councilor Dow.
Got a question. Again, I don't think it's a good idea to postpone because all their concern is the position is not posted, regardless if it's supposed to be posted or not. So we're just wasting time. What are we doing here? We're going to come back in the same agenda. We're going to appoint certain person, and nothing will change. Like either send it back, discuss it, let some other people apply, or let's vote on it here and finish with it. Like, what are we doing? You know, like, I understand the DPW concern, director, he want to go in, you know, feel everybody, and he's coming back with the same thing. Like, what are we doing? Let's be honest about it, you know? Either finish it, or let's go back from the beginning. Post the job, or get rid of the job. Either or. Let the director make a decision then. We already moved forward with the decision. DPW director didn't like it. He make his recommendation. There's a lot of guys in here. Let's do it right then. I know it was done right the first time, but let's do it right for them. Would they want to take a chance? Go ahead. Why we're going to postpone it for? I don't get it. Just wasting time. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Steves.
Just to clarify, Councilor Dow, at this point, there is no job to vote on for the next 2 items, so.
He's right. Councilor Adams.
Not to prolong this, so I'm assuming based on popular belief at this point in time, any job that's open within, regardless of the lower ranks to the higher, this is what they want. Everything has to be posted inside and out. Everything. Yeah, I want clarification on that. Very well, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, HR. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Anyone else? We have a motion to postpone to March 13th, items number 16 and 17. Roll call vote.
Counselor Ryan.
Yes.
Counselor Steves.
Yes.
Counselor Adams.
Yes.
Counselor Daniel.
Yes.
Counselor Dow.
No.
Counselor Lazo. Counselor Marquetti.
Yes.
Counselor Montigny.
No.
And Counselor Rivas.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-2. Those 2 agenda items are postponed until March 13th. 10-minute recess. Calling this meeting back to order. We're moving on to agenda item number 18. Vote to approve $5,800 in ARPA funds in support of the Southbridge Fire Department's mental health program through the Westboro Behavioral Health Hospital, and distribution of such funds will be overseen by the town's ARPA administrator.
So moved.
Second. Councilor Adams. I'm sorry, we have a motion by Councilor Ryan and a second by Councilor Dow. I'm sorry. And Councilor Adams will comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is, went through the ARPA ad hoc committee for $5,800. It's something that the chief has been working on for quite some time with his men and women. Obviously, near dear to my heart, it's specifically when it comes to the specifics of the job. You know, I've had a lot of people in my time, over 26 years, who go to counseling or who seek some type of help, and they go to the wrong individuals, and it's the wrong type of counseling and individuals they go to and seek. And in this case, this is the type of classes that the fire department will receive, just how to deal with some things that may be in their head and they've seen and smelt and all that kind of stuff. And I thought this was a very good, at first I believe it was like 30 grand, and now it comes out to $5,800 fire department way. And but I fully support this. The ARPA, it was 3-0 in favor of that evening. And I highly support this and ask that the council support it as well. Thank you.
Very good. Councilor Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, I just want to say I'm really excited to see this being adopted, and I want to thank the chief for his leadership on this. And I'm really excited, in particular, that Westboro is the one chosen. It's just personally, it's the one I went to get my help, and they were great. The staff there is some of the most well-trained and thoughtful staff. They're going to be really good at providing really detailed scenarios and different forms of therapy. I'm quite impressed with this, and I thank you, Chief, for bringing this forward.
Very good. Chief, you wish to comment?
Yes, I do. This is something that's very close to my heart. Of almost 40 years of EMS and fire experience, I've seen friends pass away. I've seen friends have some problems. But I did write up a little bit something, and I think it's important to read that the citizens, counselors, everybody understands where we come from as public safety providers. So just give me 1 second. I thought I was going to have a much larger audience, but everybody seemed to have left. But so good evening, everybody. I come to you with a subject that is not spoken about all that much: mental health. I want to take that one more step further. Mental health in our own public safety members is very important to me. The past several years, we have experienced COVID-19 pandemic, 911 calls for overdoses and suicides in town. In the most recent events, although it did not happen here in Duxbury, that all does affect us as first responders. There is a growing concern about behavioral health issues and the significant impact on wellness within the fire service. The stresses faced by firefighters, paramedics, and EMTs throughout the course of their careers, incidents involving children, violence, inherent dangers of firefighting, and other potentially traumatic events. These can have a cumulative impact on their lives. Fire service and health officials have seen post-traumatic stress disorders and other issues stemming from on-the-job experiences of firefighters. Those that are affected are countless first responders. We're seeing more post-pandemic stressors when all the firefighters were under isolation orders, creating heavy lockdowns. Members were isolated from their families with fear alone, which also caused a lot of depression, relationship issues, as well as brothers and sisters turning to addiction and or suicide. I have been one of the biggest advocates of peer support groups. These types of group sessions happen every day at the kitchen table of the fire station. Sometimes it helps, sometimes it does not. It can help a reluctant individual open up and talk about what is troubling them. In fact, talking to peers can be an important cornerstone to creating or treating mental and emotional stress before it reaches crisis level. There is no way to know or understand what people need or not need. This program, if approved, will provide a 1-hour educational program titled Helping Ourselves So That We May Serve Others. It's recognizing first responder stress and destroying the stigma. An opportunity for each individual of our individuals will have an opportunity to complete a trauma screening questionnaire and a one-on-one conversation with a licensed professional about the results of their questionnaire, all protected between those two people, following the HIPAA rules and regulations. Further treatment, if needed, and evaluations would be coming from the individual themselves on their own time and through their PCP and medical insurance. With all of this being said, this program, after its completion, could identify an individual in need and prevent a tragedy of one of our own. I'd like to thank the members of ARPA. Dave Adams obviously spoke very highly of this program. I truly appreciate that. Town Manager McCall in supporting this project up until now, and I hope that you all see the same thing. So thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Chief. I appreciate what you're saying.
Thank you.
Any discussion? Councilor Rivas.
Thank you, Chief, for bringing this forward, and to the ARPA Committee for seeing how important this issue is and recommending that we move it forward. You know, I'm working in the DA's office, like I know how important it is to support our first responders, our police officers who respond and have secondary trauma from everything that they have to witness and see. And supporting our employees and our people through all of this is, you know, is a priority. And I'm so glad that in our community that is something that you're passionate about, because that is something that many of us up here are very passionate about. You know, mental health in itself for our residents is something that is important. And maybe residents seeing that our first responders are getting the help, that might destigmatize for other people asking for help. And so I think this is truly important in a lot of different ways. So thank you.
Very good. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Unanimous of all present. Thank you, Chief. It's wonderful.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Item number 19, vote to approve $100,000 in ARPA funds in support of the Jacob Edwards Library request for the design and build of their broadband network, and distribution of such funds will be overseen by the town's ARPA administrator.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Ryan, second by Councilor Adams. Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you again, through the ARPA committee, unanimous of all present there. Now, just for the councilors and the residents, we've already approved $100,000 for fiber optic support within the municipality buildings. We do understand that we're going to need a little bit more of that, but I know Victor's working hard on all the buildings, and he's got the fire hose effect now just coming on board, so he's trying to catch his wind a little bit at this point. But the $100,000, Miss Morrissey from the library, who has really been great working with to change things as she saw fit and work with each other, has been a great team effort. But she brought about this an extra $100,000 for the fiber optics within the library itself, and it's a no-brainer, especially since we're in need of such items. And I would say because of the success of the library, and again, I think this was a no-brainer for the ARPA ad hoc committee, and we just appreciate her bringing this forward, and before it was too late and we ran out of all the cash. So I thank her specifically. Thank you.
Very good. Do you feel the need you'd like to discuss?
And I should bring up, it's broadband as far as that's concerned. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the Council and Town Manager. I would like to thank the ARPA Committee for their cooperation throughout the process while we identified and gathered the request for funding a project at the library that met with the criteria set forth in the ARPA funding, which was a unique opportunity, and it was something we took some time over. At the November 29, 2022 meeting of the Board of Trustees, and on the recommendation of the Technology Task Group, it was decided to pursue the design and building of a fibre optic network for the library. It is our understanding that this would be part of a town-wide initiative, as has been discussed. The library would like to request $100,000 from the ARPA fund to be set aside to contribute towards the design and development of the fibre optic network, and it has already been recommended by the ARPA committee on January 12th, 2023 at their meeting, and we thank you for that. Later this evening, a request for the Community Compact IT Best Practice Grant will be presented, and that has been approved at General Government Subcommittee. The town is planning to conduct a technology assessment to review the feasibility and planning on moving forward with broadband in the community. So it's all sort of stepping stones and building blocks. So this is obviously going to help with the library's request as well. There are other grant fundings available, and I'm hoping that there will be other sources of funding, because from what I understand, building a fibre optic network is not a cheap pursuit, and I hope that we can actually do this, and I feel we can, and this money from the ARPA committee would definitely be a game changer in terms of like getting the process started. During a recent MMA webinar, this grant was described as the municipal fibre optic grant I'm referring to here, and quote, "The federal broadband funding landscape and the steps municipalities can take to prepare for this once-in-a-generation opportunity to close the digital divide and expand broadband access." I think that's really key, and I would like you to just keep that in mind in relation to this request. So here are the reasons I believe that we should move forward with broadband for the library and for the community in general. It will keep our community connected and close the digital divide, as just previously mentioned. It will provide a stable connection where upload and download speeds are the same, and it's deemed at around 600 Mbps. There are lots of complaints on Facebook that I read about people losing their connection to the connectivity that they have already. So I think this would be a welcome improvement if we can spread it out to the community at a later point. This would be the initial stage by funding the library and maybe other municipal buildings. To be competitive vis-a-vis other towns, this is critical for the economic development of Southbridge. Like the Mass Broadband 123 project just stopped dead in Sturbridge and also East Brookfield, and you know how close we are to those two communities. It would appeal to potential new residents and businesses alike to move to Southbridge, and I think that's what we're trying to do, is to make Southbridge, to increase the tax base and to have a more vibrant community. And I think offering, if we can offer broadband, that would be one of the big inducements. Fibre is the current state of the art and the way of the future, and we need to plan to be part of this technology or get left behind or completely out of any innovation that could happen. So I think it's really critical that we would move on this. The library is perceived as a technology resource, and we need to maintain that status, and that's why I'm asking specifically for the library to be funded in this way. I would just like to remind the Council that during the pandemic and the tornado, the library was able to offer services and continue to operate. And I think that the connectivity was one of the things that really provided that opportunity. And I would like to be able to continue to increase and upgrade as we go forward. During the 2050 visioning session conducted by the Central Mass Regional Planning Commission, I advocated for this to be a core focus for the development for the next 25 years. And I'm hoping that that has actually resonated within their plan. The time is now. There is the opportunity for grant assistance to further the building of this network, and the costs are continuing to escalate. We had talked about this many, many years ago. I had made a proposal to the I'm after forgetting the name, the Redevelopment Authority. And if we had done it then, we would maybe have the network now, but at that stage it was deemed too expensive. It's always going to be out of our grasp, but I feel with the funding that ARPA provides for these once-in-a-lifetime projects, I think this is of merit, and I would like you to consider it. So thank you to ARPA Committee for moving this forward, and I'd like to request that the Council will give this serious consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. For those at home that may not know, that was Margaret Morrissey, who's the director of the library.
My apologies.
No problem. No problem at all. Councillor Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you. This is infrastructure. This is the new addition to what actual infrastructure is, right? You go through, every generation has this thing of like, oh, it used to just be roads and physical buildings, and then you added cast lines, and then you added power lines. Internet is that next piece of infrastructure, and that's what ARPA was passed to do. But invest in infrastructure. This is the most basic thing we're supposed to be doing with this. So the fact that we're doing this and providing this basic infrastructure to our citizens throughout the town and to our staff and giving them a high quality internet connection so we can do the business of the town and average people can connect with the town, That's what we're supposed to be doing. That's the bread and butter of what government's supposed to do. So thank you, Margaret, for bringing this forward and for being such a strong advocate for this, because this is the next wave of investments that's going to be coming along from local, state, and federal governments. It's going to be in broadband. It's going to be in internet connection and providing that as a public service. So thank you, Margaret, for your work on this. Thank you to the ARPA committee for making this investment. It's much needed.
Pretty easy.
Yeah.
Councilman Tigney.
Thank you very much. I'm a big supporter of the library, especially when it comes to anything to do with internet and cable. I hope with the new interim town manager and yourself will at least make Spectrum aware of the fact that there's a local access cable drop there that's not being used, but to make sure that they don't screw it up when they do the installation there, because in the future it would be great to add to there's a live drop there to go live on channel 192, but we don't have the equipment. Something in the charter's franchise agreement that we're going to have to discuss that's the one existing live drop outside this building. So this is just all the more reason, I think, why this item is a great item, and it sounds like we have a state-of-the-art public library after this. So I think it's a great thing. Thank you.
Very good. Councilor Steves, then Councilor Rivas.
Yeah, and as part of the ARPA committee, obviously, I was definitely entirely in favor of doing this. And I think this is really it's really a step, a kind of baby step in the right direction, because what we really need to be doing is if we have the money, and I don't know if the ARPA money that we have left would be able to do it, and there's so many other interests that we have, but if we could figure out some way to get federal or state money, we really need to completely wire the entire town for everybody. Not just our town buildings, but although this is the start for that project. And we can use this as a community. Personally, I think it would be nice to be a municipally owned broadband system. Get ourselves out of Charter's hands entirely and send them packing. But obviously this doesn't do that yet. But it's a step in the right direction.
Councilor Rivas.
Yes, Margaret, I want to thank you for being a leader in this endeavor. I think that I remember during the early stage of the pandemic when I was still in the school system, and the library was that place for families to be connected and to be able to, be able to do their homework when they went home. Not everybody was able to have hotspots, and they weren't able to connect, or people had exorbitant bills and they couldn't, they didn't have access to be able to stay connected in those ways that we wanted to be connected during that time when people were very isolated. And so I do think that this is, like Councilor Steve said, a step in the right direction. Seeing more municipal buildings being able to provide that access. I look forward to that assessment and seeing what results out of that. So I do thank you. I thank the ARPA committee for, investing funds, and I do agree with Councilor Ryan that this is infrastructure and this is what we need to be looking at.
Very good. Anyone else? Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. I fully support this. I'm glad to see it. That's what the ARPA money was intended for. Part of it was for broadband infrastructure improvements. I'd also hope that the committee can try and find some funds to create some Wi-Fi hotspots around town. I know the community center, I went in there and you can't hook up to the internet. There's also some other areas of town that are low-income residents who can't even afford internet. So if we could create some Wi-Fi hotspots so we could get them free access to Wi-Fi, I would strongly encourage this. But I'm fully in favor of this tonight. Thank you.
Very good. Councilor Adams.
Not to labor this on, just what Councilor Marquetti had brought up about from the community center standpoint. During the pandemic, we utilized that obviously as a vaccination site thoroughly, and everything was upgraded at that point in time. I don't know if that's all disappeared or what happened to all that infrastructure work that we did within that community project, as that's a valuable building in our town for just in case of big issues that come around, from a tornado to weather and all that kind of stuff. I'd like to maybe sit down with you and talk to you about that, and I can go over there too myself and just follow up. That's interesting you brought that up. Thank you.
Very good. Anyone else? Good. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. You're welcome. Item number 20, vote to approve $2,000 in ARPA funds in support of the Central Mass Regional Planning Commission contract of slums and blight survey, and distribution of such funds will be overseen by the town's ARPA administrator.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Councilor Ryan, second by Councilor Steves. Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. I know Ms. Dean can probably explain this a little bit better than I can, but it was 3-0 vote in favor of to move forward with the Slum and Blight Survey. The amount of $2,000 were Central Massachusetts Regional, or CMRPC, that which myself and Ms. Dean are part of, will help us support with that survey itself. And like I said, it was a no-brainer as we move forward. And, this is one of those things that she's been passionate about through the downtown areas and a few other things, slum and blight, and it's something I think the town has been pushing for quite some time. So obviously I fully support it. Thanks.
Very good. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present.
I guess I get the approval from Ms. Dean.
I'd like to take 1 second to really point out to the public that Councilor Adams has done, in his committee, has done a banner job in terms of the ARPA funding and the distribution of funds. I was just making a quick look at things. He's gone from modern technology to mental health and human services for both citizens and employees, to citizen support through programs and outreach programs, as well as outreach programs to businesses. Really a very wide-ranging list of projects that he and his committee have been willing to look at and have brought forward to the council for approval. Not all the money is large, not all the money is small, but regardless, it's really been a wonderful service to the citizens of town, and I just think it really needs to be emphasized that Councilor Adams and the committee has done a yeoman's job, and I appreciate it personally. Item number 21, vote to approve rescinding Town Council Agenda Item number 28 from the January 9, 2023, whose vote was to approve an application for $20,000 from the Micro Projects Program to fund a marketing campaign to educate Southbridge residents on our existing community transportation resources, and allow the transfer of $4,000 from Town Council Reserve Account number 001132-578110 to account Micro Projects Program, Grant Marketing for Community Transportation, to ensure the town can meet the 20% match requirement, and authorize the town manager to sign any related paperwork.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Dow, second by Councilor Steves. Councilor Adams?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So 22 piggybacks off of 21. Obviously, we're rescinding this. We've already passed this through one time, and that was to be able to get that grant for our town to market our WRTA buses throughout our borders, and actually past that. Obviously, to get this grant, we had to supply the money up front, pretty much 20%, thanks to Councilor Steves and further research by Ms. Dean. We went ahead and did council reserve just in the meantime with an option of bringing this to the next ARPA committee meeting, which they did, and we are going to be pushing that forward on the next agenda item. I think that's all I got.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 22, vote to approve applying for $20,000 from the Micro Projects Program to fund a marketing campaign to educate Southbridge residents on our existing community transportation resources, using $4,000 in ARPA funds for the 20% match, and authorize the town manager to sign any related paperwork.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilor Dow, a second by Councilor Ryan. Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, this is the ARPA funds that we just took out of the reserve, and now we're putting ARPA funds in there to pay the 20% down for that
Council?
same marketing.
Very good. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present.
Council item opposed?
Item number
What's that?
23. She's asking if you voted.
Yeah, thank you, Counselor. Appreciate it.
Item 23, vote to approve entering into a contract for $2,000 with Central Massachusetts Regional Planning Commission to help complete the slums and blight survey needed for our community development block grant application activity commercial rehab to be funded by ARPA funds.
So moved.
Second.
Council,
That's me.
motion by Councilor Dow, second by Councilor Ryan. Councilor Adams.
All right, so this is obviously, we just voted in the ARPA funds for this $2,000. Now we're just vote to applying for, entering into the contract for the $2,000 and its funding. Thank you.
Any, Councilor Dow.
Yeah, I just want to thank Council Adam and for all the work they're doing to get the right money in the right place. Thank you.
Very good. Any discussion? Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present.
Mr. Chair.
Councilor Adams.
So I just want to, first of all, thank you for the kind words from Councilor Dow and Councilor Montigny and the chair. But I will say a lot of them. I mean, I had Councilor Marquetti, who wasn't even on the ARPA committee, who came up with the YMCA and a few others. So I do appreciate it. It's a lot of residents that are coming to the ARPA committee requesting these funds, and we really do appreciate that. So that being said, just want to update everybody. We have we have allocated $3.8 million so far out of the a little over $5 million in which we are authorized. We have about $1.2 million left in the jar, and there's going to be more coming up in the next meeting in February. So, thank you.
Very good.
That's it.
Okay. Item number 24, vote to approve applying for the CDBG mini entitlement fiscal year 2022 and fiscal year 2023 grants for $1.65 million for housing rehab, commercial rehab, code enforcement, and a planning activity, and to authorize the town manager to sign all related documents.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Dow, second by Councilor Ryan. Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, P&D, at our last subcommittee meeting, unanimous all present to bring this forward. Obviously, every year, this town is allocated about $825,000 of CDBG funds. As you can see, this is for fiscal year 22 and fiscal year 23. On our paperwork, it talks about the housing program delivery, the housing rehab, code enforcement, commercial rehab, planning over on Morris Street, and administration fees as well. And so what we're asking for, Ms. Dean has done an awesome job getting this thing through. It's like the back of her hand now, but they doubled it up this year. Instead of just 1 year, they're asking two fiscal years, and it comes out to, what does it come out to? $1.65 million for the next 2 fiscal years. Thank you.
Very good. Discussion? Very good. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present.
Good job.
Item number 25, vote to rescind agenda item number 16 from Town Council meeting of November 7th, 2022, which was vote to allow the Economic Development and Planning Department to accept the lowest quote to furnish and install two awnings at 300 Main Street for not more than $10,814, pending approval from the Massachusetts Historical Commission, and authorize the town manager to sign all related documents.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Councilor Dow, second by Councilor Steves. Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Agenda item number 26 piggybacks off 25. Obviously, we're requesting the rescinding of this motion for $10,814 at the time. As Ms. Steen had made it very clear, there's an anticipated amount of money. Well, then reality kicked in and it added a few $1,000s more, which will be on agenda item number 26. And Ms. Steen can speak more if she needs to on this item.
Nope. Okay. Any discussion, councilors? All those in favor? Opposed?
I'm for.
Unanimous of all present. Item number 26, vote to accept the quote and enter into an agreement with Graphics Unlimited to furnish and install two awnings at 300 Main Street for $13,100, and to authorize the town manager to sign all related documents.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Dow, second by Councilor Ryan. Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to pass this over, unanimous for all present, but I'll pass it over to Ms. Dean if there's any other questions, but I've pretty much just explained it to everybody.
Okay. Any discussion? Very good. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present.
I just want to know, thank you, Ms. Dean, for all the work you're doing. We always say that about you, but
You're
we
welcome.
really do
My
appreciate
pleasure.
everything.
Just doing my job.
Item number 27, vote to approve applying for $50,000 through the Community Compact IT Best Practices Grant to complete a technology assessment and to authorize the town manager to sign all related documents.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Dow, second by Councilor Ryan. Councilor Steves.
We recommended this unanimously at GenGov, and the issue basically comes down to tying the project into what Margaret was talking about several minutes ago. Only making it a study for a broader scale of what the town really needs to put broadband in.
Mr. Manager.
I don't want to put him on the spot, but I think this is the first time our new IT director, Victor Rule, has come to the podium and here in one of our meetings. Victor is a Southbridge resident and was just a serendipitous hire. I was one night in town hall explaining to residents that we were shorthanded and just said, appreciate your patience. And he said, I know, I work in town government. I said, oh, really? What do you do? He said, IT. And then we started talking from there. But it was just at the time when Mr. Knoyer had tendered his notice of retirement. But Victor's been a welcome addition. He's working on a lot of the projects and initiatives that I had thought we would get going once we had someone like him. So he's here this evening. He didn't know I was going to say that, but it's been a breath of fresh air. I know a lot of staff have been excited to have him because we didn't have anybody who could do desktop support, but he can do that as well as many other things. And he's looking at our voice over IP, security, a lot of things that we have going here in town. So with that, I hand it over to Victor, and thank you, Victor, for coming on board and doing a lot of that stuff.
Thank you. As you mentioned, Victor Rule, the new IT director, and the first thing I noticed coming here was the infrastructure and the need for fiber and networking, and that backbone foundation that can propel us to these goals that we're talking about, town-wide, Wi-Fi, bringing fiber to the residents, and but we have to start here. And the feasibility study is an opportunity to begin that process and piggyback again with Ms. Morrissey's recommended project she's working on. So this could be a last opportunity on this, is the current administration. So it would be an advantage to take on.
Okay. All set?
So the feasibility study is technology and could be scoped to, my idea is networking. That's my goal right now. And improve our fiber network and improve networking between the buildings, and then take it to the next level. But this is the beginning for that.
Very good. Councilors? Councilor Dow.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. So the 50,000 to start have communication between building, that's the whole idea? Or what's you asking for 50 grand, but is any plan set, like 10 for this specific item, 10 for this, 10, or just in a general, you ask 50 and you're gonna start to see where you can put that 50?
It's for a feasibility study to see what the need is and where potentially where the connections are for fiber, and where we can tap into. Currently, we don't know really where we can tap into in town. Ms. Morrissey mentioned that the MBI project stopped at Sturbridge, and from there, we don't know where anything else goes. So we're hoping that this will give us some insight into that and how we can connect to that if we are falling short with equipment that we may need. It's a feasibility study overall, and hopefully that will serve the town to guide us moving forward in builds.
So this one just to figure what we're missing, what we need to
Yep.
continue in the future. It's not like specific project inside town building.
Correct.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Anyone? Councilor Marquetti, then Councilor Montigny.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. Councilor Dow actually asked the questions that I was going to ask, so I'm all set. Thank you.
Very good. Councilor Montigny.
Thank you. Actually, I was thinking of Councilor Marquetti. When you were talking about this, he mentioned earlier how he was hoping maybe some more low-income areas for town could have Wi-Fi. Does this have anything to do with that, or is this just for town buildings and stuff like that?
This is the beginnings of the road to that.
Okay.
We have to start with our foundation here and then build upon that, moving out to the other areas. But this is the beginning of that, and it will help us to guide us to that.
Excellent. Thank you.
Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I apologize, Councilor Steves or yourself may have answered this, but no matching funds at all?
No.
Okay.
It was recommended for the, Sean, I forget his last name. Yes, thank you. From the state to apply for this best practice grant and specifically for technology. And then we're not sure what the scope will be and what the cost will be after that, but this is to help us get started, yeah.
Thank you.
Chair, one more question.
Councilor Dow.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. You able to do that study, or we have to hire a company from outside to do the study?
We will have to, if the grant is awarded, I believe there's a list of companies that we would pick to do that feasibility study. And that's what the grant would pay for.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Very good. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present.
Thank you.
Thank you. Vote to approve applying for the Rebuilding American Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity, or RAISE grant, for no more than $11 million and commit $750,000 in water and sewer enterprise funds to complete the project and to authorize the town manager to sign all related documents.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Dow, second by Councilor Ryan. Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I lost my page here, where I was at. This one was unanimous, motion approved. Thank you.
Very good. Ms. Dean.
As I did with the DPW subcommittee, I just want to sing the praises of the team over at the DPW between Phil Harding, Tara, Steve Gregoire. We had a solid effort to get some numbers together at the last minute, which otherwise we wouldn't be able to apply. We needed to commit an amount of funds for water and sewer this year, which we didn't do last year when we applied, and they were able to help me with that. I just want to remind everyone, you did apply last year. We were almost awarded. We were debriefed by the federal government. One, kudos to the town that we went for these discretionary funds, unlike a lot of other entities that may have let this opportunity pass them by because it was hard to get in line, get your numbers in order. The town did a great job of applying for these discretionary funds, is taking the advice of what the federal government gave us in the debrief and is applying again. The number that we state within the motion, 11 million, is probably high. I had to come up with a number. We asked for 10 million last year. I was waiting for the cost projections from our engineer and didn't get them until after I'd put together my subcommittee materials. It's looking like we're going more conservative this year at more more like somewhere between 7.7 and 10 million for our ask, but I won't know that until we get closer to the deadline for the application. So we're asking for the up to 11 million to make sure we're covered. They found that they could reduce a couple of items and quantities from last year's application, and that might help our cost-benefit analysis numbers to be more favorable for us. And again, this, to remind everyone, is to modernize Hamilton Street, new sidewalks, lighting, curbing, traffic, dealing with parking issues, et cetera. It would be a great coupling of the work you're about to do on River Crane Street and the rail trail, all really coming together to see impact.
Councilor Ryan.
Thank you. Thank you for your work on this. Thank you for last year. And again, this is continuing a lot of renewal into areas that have been disproportionately impacted over the years because of lack of investment, right? So it's nice to see these little bit of poorer areas in town get a little bit of investment and actually giving back to the people of this community. So thank you for all your hard work.
Councilor Adams.
Well, just a quick question, and I may have missed it too as well. The Hamilton Street, all the way through, will link into the TIP project that we're having in 2024 and all that?
Up to the hook.
to
So
the
then
hook?
you'll have the Rotary, which once was a $4 million project, is actually now based on the expense of construction, an up to $8 million project. And so you'll have the TIP project worth $8 million, your rail trail, a few $1 million. You'll have the, if this was to go through, so, you know, your Main Street on down to the river is really starting to see true development.
Great, thank you.
Councilor Rivas.
Just a quick question. You mentioned sidewalks and curbs, and will that include elements for accessibility?
Absolutely. Yes. So we scored incredibly high on the 8 criteria. The only one we didn't score incredibly high on is safety, and that is because we couldn't substantiate the number of pedestrians and bicyclists that we will be helping be safer. And so CMRPC has been wonderful to work with us. They're out there putting up cameras. Actually, they were going to do it on what was going to be one of the coldest weekends, and I said, no, please, that does not serve us. No one's going to be out. So they were willing to adjust their dates to be putting the cameras up to capture numbers, and we'll still take into effect that this is winter, these are not higher numbers. But yes, this is all about safety and accessibility.
Wonderful, thank you.
Everyone all set?
Very good.
Okay. All those in favor? Opposed? 8-0, unanimous of all present.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 29, vote to approve the license agreement between the Town of Southbridge and the Southbridge Softball Association Incorporated for the use of Henry Street Field and to authorize the town manager to sign all related documents.
So moved.
Motion by Councilor Ryan, second by Councilor Steves. Councilor Steves.
We passed that unanimously. This is an agreement that's been going on for many years. It doesn't cost anything. It's an issue where they pay their share of, basically, they pay for the maintenance, and the only thing that we've had to pay for them for in many years was kick in some money through ARPA to help them put some lights on. I mean, this is a good deal for pretty much everybody.
Discussion. Councilor Adams.
I'm just glad to see this go through before the town manager moves on. It's interesting, all of a sudden the Southbridge Softball Association has been highlighted this year through ARPA funds for the new lights. Now a new press box will come its way after the insurance money pays through, and then and now this. So it's great to see all that. Thank you.
Mr. Manager.
No, this came up during one of the ARPA meetings, and I was in contact with Mr. Tucker, who's the president, and I just want to read, I had a quick blurb from Michael Brunell over in Recreation, asked me to read this. He just wanted to go on and say the Softball Association does a great job at scheduling the field and assisting DPW with maintaining the field. Along with this, the association uses their own funds and equipment to support their programming. As we have seen with the recent fire damage to the softball announcers booth, the league is willing to volunteer its time to making the field the best that it can be. It is rare to find groups so readily available willing to support the fields and parks, and so for this reason, I would like to see this agreement with the Softball Association approved.
Very good. Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. On this item, on Exhibit A, number 3, it says that they can use the premises from 4 PM till 12 midnight. Has that always been that way?
Through you, Mr. Chair, to Councilor Marquetti, this is essentially the same agreement that's been there in place for years and then was renewed 2 times before. I made only a couple of textual changes, not to the hours.
So it's always been that way, till 12 midnight?
I would
Because
say
I got to
yes.
tell you, I'm not sure if I had a stadium or a baseball field next to me, if I'd want the lights on and people playing softball till midnight. That seems a little too much. I wouldn't want it in my backyard, but I know that the town bylaws, they have a limit of 10 PM. So somehow, is this able to get around the bylaw, or?
Well, all I can say to that is, in my time here, I haven't had a single complaint about a game on those fields.
Well, they're not
I've
playing
had-
till midnight, are they?
I'm not aware of it. I've only had one complaint once, and it came up from the
Okay.
West Street School fields about a weekend game that went a little long.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Council Montigny.
Thank you. It's awesome to see this. My father was in the Southbridge softball leagues forever, along with some of my uncles. It's one of the last things out there for adults in this town to do besides go to one of our various bars. And when it comes to the midnight thing, sometimes when they play playoffs, they schedule games 8, 9, 10, 11 o'clock. And to the manager's credit, there's not been any complaints about it. And now we're going to put a fire station there, so it's going to be much louder anyway. But thank you.
Any further discussion?
I don't have a problem with it, but I would like to see it in conformance with our bylaws, and our bylaws say 10 PM, that's all. But that's all, thank you.
Council Montigny.
Thank you. Yeah, to the previous speaker, I don't think they make too much noise. They mustn't. There's no light pollution from the lights. That's not a bylaw, I don't believe. So I'd like it to stay the same. It's been tradition how they finish their games in the playoffs at the end of the year and stuff like that. And lots of people stay involved with this. So, and now, like I said, it'll only get noisier with the fire station there anyway. Much brighter and louder thing than a baseball game. But thank you.
Councilor Dow.
What else beautiful in the kids screaming, yelling, making noises? That's life, I think. That's our life to continue. And, you know, I mean, I respect you. You know, you're retired, you want to, relax. But, that's life. We need the kids to scream, yell, and enjoy their life. Not sitting on the game all day and the TVs. And they need to get out. We need to help these kids to change the mentality, to see different things, get together as a town friend and family, and this is the only way we can get them out. Thank you.
Very good.
Is Counselor Dow calling me an old codger?
Okay. Any further discussion? Very good. All those in favor? Opposed? 7-1. Councilor Marquetti opposed.
Cinderella's glass slipper.
Item number 30, vote to schedule a joint public hearing with the Planning Board to discuss amendments to the Southbridge zoning bylaw, Sections 5, 9.1, and 10.
So moved.
Motion by Councilor Ryan, second by Councilor Steves. Councilor Steves.
We actually never talked about that. It should have gone, we voted to send the last time we talked about it, we voted to send it down to them. I haven't seen it on my agenda to come up. We're going to, when are we going to
All
do
right.
this?
I'll contact the
This
planning
went
board.
down to the planning board.
All right. I'll contact the planning board and we'll sort it out.
Okay.
Very good. Motion to...
I mean, we can move to set a date, but we have to hear from the planning board first. So.
Say again?
I said, we can vote to set a date, but we have to hear from the planning board first.
So, can I, and Mr. Chair, just clarification.
Go ahead.
That's the whole purpose of setting it back, and then if I'm not mistaken, we've done this in the past.
Yeah.
Eric, get back with the chair and work all that stuff out.
Exactly.
All right.
Mr. Rumsey.
If I might. Thank you. So the planning board had expressed to me that they wish to hold the hearing early in March. Ideally, they wanted it at their March 1st meeting. However, due to advertising requirements, there's no way we can meet that deadline. So looking ahead, I believe they wanted to look at their second meeting in March, which is March 15th, which is the third Wednesday of the month, as a hearing date. I would hope that would work for everyone. This is very similar to what we've done for other bylaws in the past. We would open a public hearing with the council, open a public hearing with the planning board, and hold a joint discussion, ideally in this room, with both the planning board members and you all as the council, to discuss these three sections of the bylaws. Again, Section 9.1, we're mandated by the state to make these changes, which comes from FEMA, from the federal government. And then 10, Section 10 has a whole section of definitions that pertain to 9.1 in addition to other changes that the planning board is proposing. And Section 5 is the dimensional requirements and density, which really, we've heard a lot from developers, from property owners, from people who want to come into town and open businesses, that we need to change some things in our density and our dimensional requirements to make buildings that are currently in existence but non-conforming, to make them conforming, so that we can bring economic development forward and so that we can fill some of the storefronts, especially on Main Street.
So if I heard you correctly, you're saying that the planning board wants to go to the 15th of March?
Correct.
Okay. What's the pleasure of the council? Council Steves?
I have no problem with that personally. I just have a question for Eric, though. I notice on your next agenda, you have your workshop continuing the zoning bylaw review, including, again, Section 10. I know you have that at the end of every time you do a zone, in case you want to throw some more changes into the definitions, but wouldn't it be kind of premature to vote to have a public hearing on that section? No, I have no problem with the other two, but
Sure.
wouldn't it make sense to hold off on that one for now?
Because we have definitions for specific doing to flood regulations that came from FEMA, at the very minimum, those need to be discussed at a public hearing and then voted on and gone through the reading process. So Section 10 was kept on there. Basically, actually, there are definitions in here that there's wording in here that we don't have firm definitions on yet, but we will in time for the public hearing, so that's why it's on their next agenda. So we'll firm that up and we'll get that to you, probably by Thursday of next week Thursday of this week. So you'll have that full language for Section 10.
Okay.
Almost a month in advance of the public hearing.
You're not expecting to make any other changes from the...
No, and we, quite honestly, they may not discuss Section 10 at all. It was just on there because there were items that I actually took off from the copy that you have because we didn't have definitions for them yet.
Okay, thanks.
Anyone else? Councilor Marquetti?
There's a lot to read here in this regulation. There's a lot to read in these regulations here, and didn't we pay a lot of money for a zoning bylaw to begin with a couple years ago? I think we spent an awful lot of money on it, and now we're making changes on it already?
Yes, that's correct. A zoning bylaw is a living, breathing document.
Okay.
5 years ago, 6 years ago, yes, the town did pay a consultant, I believe, $50,000 to rewrite the zoning bylaw. And then since that time, the planning board, 2 building commissioners, myself, former town planner, zoning board of appeals, as we've worked with that document, we have noticed there are several changes that would make the town work better, quite frankly. And I think I'm going to stop there.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, there are sections here that are completely crossed out. Whole sections red line right through the whole thing. And it'd be nice to hear from the planning board exactly why are they doing this. I know I've gone to public hearings. It's not easy to, do everything in one hearing to find out exactly why are you making these wholesale changes. So that's something that I would like to know about. I guess if that has to be done in a public hearing, are they going to come up here then? Are we going to have a combined meeting with the town council?
Yes.
And ask all the same questions, or
Yes.
how's that going to work?
Get it all out at once.
Okay, but I would like to hear their explanations because, if I want to be able to ask some, halfway intelligent questions, I want to know why they're doing what they're doing here. So, but I thank you.
Very good. Council Steves.
To follow up on what Councilor Marquetti was asking, is there any way we can get kind of a summary from you or from the planning board
That's a
about
good
some
idea.
of those issues?
Yes, I was just going to suggest that on Wednesday I can discuss this with them and write just a summary for you.
Executive summary.
Just for, why they chose to, or why they're proposing, rather, to remove some of these items and why they're,
All right,
why these changes are being proposed in general.
thank you.
Anyone else? Okay.
Motion?
I'm sorry.
Did you want a motion or something?
Well, we have a motion to schedule the meeting.
Oh, all
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
okay, Sorry.
Mr. Chairman?
Council Steves.
If I may amend that motion then to schedule the meeting, to schedule a joint public hearing with the planning board for March 15th. It would be at 6:30, I assume?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll second that.
March 15th at 6:30, you said?
Or do you want to do it at like 7?
6:45 would be I would say to open the hearing, just so we can get, the roll call and
6:45.
things like that.
Okay.
Over,
That works.
That's
Yeah.
okay with?
Okay, we have a motion by Councilor Steves and a second by Councilor Ryan to amend the motion to add that the meeting would be held on March 15th at 6:45 PM here in council chambers. Everyone all set with that? All those in favor of the amendment? Anyone opposed? The amendment passes 8-0. The motion on the floor has now been amended. Any more discussion on the amended motion on the floor? Very good. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Item number 31, vote to award tank mixer replacements, which will replace storage tank mixer motors for Brecknick Road and Mass Ave storage tanks 2, and enter into a contract with Underwater Solutions for $29,991.80, and to authorize the town manager to sign all related documents.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Councilor Dow, second by Councilor Ryan. Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This was approved, unanimous vote, motion was approved. Thank you.
Very good. Any discussion?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I don't know if Mr. Gregoire wants to come up and explain it, if he wants to.
Since he's waited all night, we might as well.
I was hoping you guys didn't see me back there. So basically, two of our storage tanks, the large tank at Brecknick Road and the almost equally large tank that you can see from Route 169 on Mass Ave, have a large electric motor in the bottom with a mixer, kind of like simply say like a big propeller that blends the tank to keep chlorine residuals equal, keeps it from having ice caps forming, and helps to lower disinfection byproduct creation without getting boring on you. And they have about a 5-year life expectancy. One of them is at 5 years, the other one is at 6 years, and they both are inoperable right now. So this is just a price basically to replace them in kind.
Okay. Any questions? Councilor Montigny.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Since we're giving kudos tonight, I'd really like to thank Mr. Gregoire for all of your hard work at the Water Department. Everything that I've seen since I've started my experience here has been great with that.
Appreciate that.
So
We have
thank
good
you.
staff.
Thank you.
Yep, that's right. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Okay, vote to approve, item number 32, vote to approve the transfer for $29,992 from account number 610450-583-000-91250, Water Reserve Fund, to number 610450-583-000-23580, Water System Capital, to fund the tank mixer replacements in the Brecknick Road and Mass Ave storage tanks.
So moved.
Motion by Councilor Ryan, second by Councilor Adams. Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This was a unanimous vote, and the motion was approved.
Any discussion?
This is just to fund the tank, right? Correct.
Correct, yes. This was not in this year's operating budget, so this is a transfer from our reserve account into the operating budget to fund this.
Thank you.
Very good. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Thank you, Steve. Item number 33, vote to approve the transfer of $90,000 from Fund Number 0842 Capital Stabilization Fund to Project Number 64847 DPW Purchase of Sweeper to cover increased costs of sweeper replacement.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Ryan, second by Councilor Steves. Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This was a unanimous vote, and the motion was approved. This agenda item is missing some language. I think you need to add, and to authorize the town manager to sign related paperwork.
So moved. Second.
Okay, we have an amendment to add the words "and to authorize the town manager to sign all related
Be a friendly
paperwork."
if you want.
Any discussion on the amendment? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present.
I'm sorry, I missed who moved and seconded the amendment.
Mike did, and I did.
It was Councilor Steves.
Adams and Steves, I believe?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Or maybe David, whoever it was.
I forgot.
At this point.
Close enough, right? Sorry.
It was Marquetti and Steves.
Getting tired, are you?
Okay, Councilor Marquetti, would you care to discuss this?
No,
From your
I'm good.
committee. You're good?
Oh, okay, yeah, I don't know if Mr. Phil wants to discuss it. We had purchased a sweeper back in May when we did the budget, capital budget, and now the cost has gone up.
The cost increased by $90,000, and we just needed to get a sweeper because we have one that is not working. We need to get two out there. And this is a newer sweeper where it actually helps the MS4 program as well. So that's one of the reasons why we're pushing to get this one.
Right, so MS4 is starting to rear its head in town.
It's been rearing its head for a couple of years now. We're just waiting to get a good handle on it when we get some people in there to do it.
Yeah.
That's all.
So, Mr. Chairman, the original cost was $300,000.
Yes.
And now it's $390,000, and he's
And then
holding it for us?
Tomorrow night at the close of business, it goes to $480,000. So if I don't get this in by tomorrow, by close of business, it's $480,000.
So we got to do it today, right? Okay.
Doing it today. Any further discussion? Nope. Okay.
This is a
all those in
two-thirds
favor?
vote, correct?
Oh, I'm sorry, two-thirds vote. Roll call.
Councilor Ryan?
Yes.
Councilor Steves?
Yes.
Councilor Adams?
Yes.
Councilor Daniel?
Yes.
Councilor Dow?
Yes.
Councilor Marquetti?
Yes.
Councilor Montigny?
Yes.
And Councilor Rivas?
Yes.
Very good. 8-0, motion passes. Agenda item number 34, vote to approve the transfer of $86,032 from Fund Number 0842 Capital Stabilization Fund to Project Number 64849 DPW Clamshell Catch Basin Cleaner for Swap Loader to cover increased costs for the catch basin cleaner.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Dow, second by Councilor Ryan.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this was unanimous, and the motion was approved, and this is also missing the same language, authorize the town manager to sign related paperwork.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilor Ryan, second by Councilor Dow, to amend it to include the wording and authorize the town manager to sign all related paperwork. All those in favor of the amendment? Opposed? Unanimous, all present for the amendment. The motion is now amended. It's on the floor. Discussion. Phil?
Just another one of the items that we got for capital that increased in $86,000 from the time that we went for the original bids for everything. Just pretty much just like the sweeper. It just, prices, as you guys know, are just going up and up and up.
Yep.
And this one, pretty much sure I get to the end of the month before it goes up again.
Got a break.
So the
Hopefully.
original cost was, I forget now,
It's like
240?
240 or something. I don't remember. I don't have the paperwork with me.
Yeah, I should have brought it. Thank you.
But it was originally a cheaper price. But.
Mr. Manager.
Just through you to Mr. Harding, if these are time sensitive, you have to get these signed for tomorrow, just contact my office.
At least for the sweeper.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure, we'll get it done tomorrow.
Thank you. That's good. That's important. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion as amended?
Two-thirds vote.
Roll call. It's right here. It's right here.
Bright blue.
It's right blue. Can't miss it.
Blue. Evidently, you can miss
It's
it.
been a long night.
Counselor Steves?
Yes.
Counselor Adams?
Yes.
Counselor Daniel?
Yes.
Counselor Dow?
Yes.
Counselor Marquetti?
Yes.
Counselor Montigny?
Yes.
Counselor Rivas?
Yes.
And Counselor Ryan?
Yes.
8-0, motion passes. Very good. Thank you, Phil. Vote to approve item number 35, vote to approve a transfer request for $1,000 from account number 094-000-57400-0145, insurance deductible, to account number 094-000-57400, insurance, property and liability, to cover the cost of fire department equipment added to the insurance policy.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Counselor Ryan, second by Counselor Steves. Counselor Steves.
We recommended that unanimously.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 36, vote to approve a transfer request for $10,000 from account number 001145-511000, treasurer collector salaries, to account number 001145-530000, treasurer collector specialized services, to cover the cost of January 2023 invoice from Strategic Municipal Services for treasurer collector services.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Counsel Steves, second by Counsel Ryan. Counsel Steves.
We also recommended this unanimously. It's actually a little bit more confusing than it looks, because at this point, as you probably already know, we don't have a permanent treasurer collector. My brain's not working now. But we have we're doing some interviews. Joanne is staying on until this week, I guess, to the end of this week. And they're trying to work out a deal with the company that does it, to send them another person that we will. The issue is that we'll end up having to vote to approve that person again going forward. So we're still trying to find a permanent treasurer collector. So I don't know if there's anything that the manager would want to comment on that.
Mr. Manager.
Mr. Chair, through you to Counselor Steves, he is correct. Our current interim is done as of this week, and we have an agreement with Strategic Accounting to provide us with a suitable substitute. We have seen the name of the individual and their background. They would be available as of the 21st to come in. One of the difficulties with a lot of the people that do interim work, as you know from our interim town manager, a lot of these folks are retired in the industry and they do have a cap on hours and things. But we've been assured that we will get a good suitable replacement to come in. To the question, we have had a couple of really good candidates that we've tried to bring in, and unfortunately we've got down to the wire where there's a good offer on the table and maybe their town has countered. For whatever reason, they decide to stay, so that's what's happened with the last couple. We have a couple of promising leads. That's the other great thing about these interims. They've been around, they know people, they make suggestions, so we're still working at it. I can say I've chatted with a couple of people recently, but we're working hard trying to find somebody, but we've been pretty good, had pretty good luck with this firm. This NAC has been really good helping us to root out some problems and help with the assistance of everybody in the finance department. to clean up a couple of things, especially our HR department. They've all worked together to straighten out payroll, benefits, a lot of different things. So it's really been beneficial.
Very good. Council Steves.
Yeah, quick question that came up at GenGov was, I don't know if you've had a chance to look into it, was whether or not it's legal to actually appoint the firm rather than an individual to the post. We had asked about that. I don't know if if you had a chance to look into that.
Councilor Ryan?
I just know, Councilor Steve, the answer to this question, because the interim manager looked into it,
Oh, okay.
and he's still looking into it, but there may be the ability to do that.
Oh, okay.
So,
Thanks.
but if I understood Mr. Blanchard correctly, that this is something he is looking into.
Oh, okay.
Very good. Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. So we're spending an awful lot of money for this firm with almost $13,000 a month. Is that what I'm looking at here? I mean, that comes out to about $155,000 a year. So that's a lot of money to be spending on a private firm to come in and do this. So if you need to up the salary range, we'd still be saving money here. So. That just seems like an awful lot of money.
So am I hearing you say it's okay? Well, I will, in all candor, that seems to be the biggest thing right now. I mean, if you think about it, we've been about almost 8 months without a treasurer, and the biggest thing that I see out there, and it came through in the discussion earlier, is that because of the tight labor market, and the number of people leaving municipal government that are retiring, and the lack of younger folks coming in at the bottom, in a lot of these positions, those who are in the prime of their career or in the, heading towards the latter years of their career can demand oftentimes a pretty good salary, especially if they have all the credentials. So that's the difficulty, is trying to get people to come in. So it may be worth a discussion. I mean, I can go back to HR. We've tried to be creative with what we can do, but I'll mention it to Ms. Harnois and Ms. Sevenak and everybody before I go, to see if it's worth to propose up to GenGov, or I can't remember. GenGov might be the appropriate place for the salary schedule for that.
It would be. It's come up in GenGov in the past.
Yeah.
See if we would consider changing that to attract a candidate.
I'm good, thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 37, vote to amend the Southbridge Town Council rules and regulations as follows. A, to add to Rule 1 the word elect after members and before the word shall.
Why don't we just go through them all?
I would
We
personally
can
like
go
it.
through them all, and then we can put a hold on the ones you want to put a hold on.
Okay, like we do with budget. I'm okay with that, Mr.
All
Chairman.
right. B, to add to Rule 4, the vice chairperson may also be assigned to a subcommittee as
Hold.
needed. C, to strike the sentence from Rule 4, summer schedule and special situations are to be decided by a majority vote of the entire council of 5. D, to change wording from Rule 5A under 3D, set the net meeting date to adjournment.
Next, I think you meant?
Yeah.
Is that a typo?
That was set the
Next.
next meeting.
Next meeting.
Oh.
That's my fault.
That's all right. E, to change wording from Rule 5A under 3E, new business, as allowed by OML for items not anticipated by the chairperson, to, all postings shall include the following text. It is possible a quorum of the town council may be present and discuss agenda items, but voting rights shall be limited to subcommittee members in attendance. F, to change the wording from Rule 5A under 3F, the word adjournment, to, at the end of each agenda, the following will be added. The items listed as the agenda are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. G, strike Rule 5A under 3G in its entirety. H, to strike from Rule 10 the word "he" and replace with the words "the chairperson." I, add Rule 23, which states, "The Southbridge Town Council rules and regulations shall be discussed, reviewed, and voted on at the first regularly scheduled Town Council meeting annually." Very good. Let's go back. We have only one hold. That's on B. Let's read it again. To add to Rule 4, the vice chairperson may also be assigned to a subcommittee as needed. Councilor Ryan, you asked for the hold.
Yes. This is going to be no shocker to nobody, but I'm fine with the vice chairperson being assigned to a subcommittee as needed. However, I would like to amend that to reflect that I don't think they should serve as the chairperson of a subcommittee, because I believe they serve an ex officio function, and I believe that the other councilors should have the ability to be able to step up and lead these subcommittees, while the vice chair and the chairman are the leaders of the council. So it's just a procedural thing, and I would make that as an amendment.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. The motion is by Councilor Ryan. The second is by Councilor Marquetti to add the words after "as needed," except that the vice chairperson may not serve as chair of the assigned committee, the assigned subcommittee. That's all right?
Yeah, I think that was right.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, speaking to the amendment,
Thank you,
Councilor Dow.
Mr. Chair, to you. And if none of them want to be the chair, none of the other council want to be the chair, what's the other choice?
If the chairman appoints the chairman, the chairman.
And if the council doesn't want to be the chair?
He wouldn't put his name.
So you leave it without a chair?
No, I would have to,
So,
the chair would have to find someone else to be on the committee to be the
I
chair.
think you should still keep the decision up to the chairs. If the vice chair, he's going to be the chair of one of the committee or not. I don't think we should put it restricted, because we put on ourselves, and let's say the chair of that committee didn't show up, and the second council have to run the meeting. What happened then?
He's ex officio.
He's going to act as a chair then he can't do it. So I don't think we should put that word there. We should leave it the way it was right now.
Hold on. Thank you, Councilor Dow. Councilor Steves is next, and then Councilor Ryan.
Just to clarify there,
And then Councilor
Joe,
Martin, yeah.
this is a situation where, in many cases, if the chairman has not shown up for a subcommittee, the ex officio vice, whether it be the chairman or the vice chair, they can step in as chair. That's what the vice chair and the chair do. That's what they're there for. But when you have your appointment where you're appointing the vice chair and two other councilors to the committee, this just simply says that the chair cannot make the vice chair the chair of that subcommittee. That's all. One of the other two will be. It's not. There won't be a vacancy in the chair.
Is that? Councilor Ryan.
Councilor Steves summed up my comments quite succinctly, so I have nothing else to add.
Thank you. Councilor Montigny.
Thank you. I agree with Councilor Dow, but I'd like clarification from Councilor Ryan, just to make sure, because there are two issues. One is whether or not the vice chair can sit in as a chair for the evening if the current chair of the subcommittee is missing, and then there's the issue of, are you trying to say that you will stop allowing the vice chair to be appointed a chairman of a subcommittee every year, like vice chair? Are you trying to say that you don't want vice chairs to be chairman, period?
My belief is that the vice chairmanship is a leadership position of the entire council, and that the position of a subcommittee chair should not be held by a leader of the entire council.
Okay.
That is my thought process. It's not to stop the ex officio members, which they are, to serve in those roles when somebody is out or absent, but it's meant to provide other councilors the ability to drive the process, while it allows the executive team, the leadership team, to be the leadership team of the entire council, not bogged down in the subcommittee work, which is supposed to be the work of the council, not the leadership of council.
Okay. Thank you for your clarification, so I know where you're coming from. So is it written in a way in your amendment that it will prevent the vice chair from being a subcommittee chair in July, and also protect the ability for the vice chair to step in temporarily The way your amendment is written is allow them to still be temporary chair if needed on that specific night, but it stops them from being...
I guess they would be more of like a permanent chairperson of that subcommittee. I guess maybe it would be the clarification of the word in that amendment.
Because as you can imagine, I'm not in support of this, but I would rather it be clear so we know what we're doing, what we're voting on, and so it's written the way you want it to be written if it is going to pass. So if someone wanted to fix that, to add permanent, I think I would just be more comfortable voting on that while I still don't support it. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilor Dow, then Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. You know, I get the idea, it's a great idea, but you still, in case one of the council, it was absent on a sickness leave or certain thing for a little period of time, what do you do on that point? You know, like, it's not making no sense to me. Like, I think we should leave it. I don't think we have any issue the way it is, the way it's set up right now. And again, I'm not looking for or specific send a message direct to anyone. I'm just saying in the future, it might happen to me, to anyone. I don't think we should eliminate that period on the vice chair. I don't think the way it's going now, it being doing a bad job. I mean, great job, whatever is doing it right now. And I think we should keep it. This is my opinion as a council. When you eliminate that, now it's going to be a question, who's going to take over, who's going to cover that position for, it's not like one time only maybe, could be months and years, could be somebody leave, I don't know. I think we should leave it like that.
Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. The way the rules read right now is that the chairman and the vice chairman cannot serve on the, as chairman of the subcommittee, I believe, because they are ex officio. So they...
No, he's chair now.
He's ex, I know, but the way it reads, he should not be chairman of P&D. And so that's why we thought we might want to change this so that, because right now he shouldn't be the chairman of P&D. According to the way the rules are, if you read the rule right now, ex officio cannot serve as chair. And he is the chair of the subcommittee and ex officio. You want to read that?
It's my understanding ex officio only means that they're automatically a member due to their office or standing within the committee as a whole.
Right.
And I don't think it's got anything to do with chairmanship or
right.
like a dual membership, I don't
Let me
believe.
read it to you, okay?
Sure.
Okay. Each counselor shall be assigned equally to subcommittees except the chairperson and the vice chairman, who shall be ex officio members of all subcommittees. So he cannot be assigned to a subcommittee because he is ex officio of all subcommittees. And yet he was appointed chairman of P&D. So that's where the problem was, and we thought maybe we should make an exception for just the vice chair. I mean, you wouldn't be able to appoint yourself chairman of a subcommittee.
No.
So, and neither should the vice chairman either. Okay. And that's our only point, but, I don't have any problem leaving it alone or changing it. I just think that's what we were aiming at, that the vice chair is already ex officio, and the rules say he cannot be assigned equally to subcommittees, because it says except, so he can't be, it cannot be, according to the rules as they stand now.
Okay, before I go to Councilor Steves, I'd like to go to Councilor Adams, who'd like to
right.
address this, and he was...
Well, it's just, obviously, the white elephant in the room, or whatever we want to call it, I got it, and Councilor Steves was in the same boat, I believe.
That's what I was gonna
a
say.
few years before I was even on board. This is the way I looked at it. I said I believe my view is you either make him the vice chair or put that person the vice chair. Don't put him on as an ex officio onto any subcommittees and spread out the wealth to all the other counselors. And then, a counselor's going to have a number 3 subcommittee, somebody that they volunteer and want to do it. But I'm not very clear. I guess my look at it is this way. The vice chair fills in for the chair. At the end of the day, I don't think, except for probably Councilor Steves and the chair himself, understands what the vice chair's role is behind the doors, behind the thing. It's busy. It's constantly busy doing something to help the chair out. So my thing is you get rid of the vice chair completely, totally out of that realm of putting him on a subcommittee, period. Don't say, oh, well, because you didn't get that, you're gonna fill that extra slot. No, you either give it to him or her, whatever it may be, or you don't. So I say at this point in time, I know this was a recommendation through the at the meeting that we had, but I'm not opposed to saying get the vice chair and the chair, no subcommittees whatsoever.
Well, that's what it says now. The actual rules.
Nothing says it can't happen though.
It says except. You
Except.
cannot be assigned. It says
Counselor and vice chair are
Everyone
ex
is
officio
I'm
members of
sorry.
all subcommittees. Their attendance at the subcommittee meeting may be counted to establish a quorum. If an ex officio attendance is not required to establish a quorum, voting will be reserved for appointed subcommittee members only. Doesn't say they can't.
No, I'm reading the section here that we're working on.
No, each counselor shall be assigned equally to subcommittees except for.
Except.
Right.
So
Except.
that's the way it reads now. You cannot serve.
Maybe I
And
read
that's
this
why
wrong.
we tried to change
And
it.
then I respectfully disagree with your interpretation of the
Okay.
rule, that's all. It's not to me, that means that we're technically members of all the committees,
Exactly.
and that's got nothing to do with whether or not I assign the vice chair to be specifically a member of a committee, to act in the role of a committee member on a regular basis, because being ex officio means that you act in that role only in the event of a circumstance that arises. And that's the way I interpret it.
So, but by the way, let me just, it's not equally. It's not. The way it reads is not, at the end of the day, because we have 9, it doesn't match up to the fact that we have 5 subcommittees.
Right.
Yeah, that's what happened when we.
That's what it was. Thank you.
Right.
Okay.
Councilor Steves, then Councilor Rivas.
Councilor Adams did mention some of what I was going to say, because when I was vice chair for 2 years, I was also chair of Gen Gov in both cases, and I think it's really an issue of the fact that since there are only 9 of us, the whole point is making sure to spread the workload around for the subcommittees, because you really don't want to have too many people having multiple subcommittees. We already have some issues with people not showing up to subcommittees. There always have been, unfortunately. And in many cases, you will see that now that we have the rule that allows anybody else to be appointed into the subcommittee temporarily, we've been doing that for 2 or 3 years now. It essentially makes anybody could essentially be ex officio for that specific day, for that specific subcommittee meeting. In practice, we have, I think, had situations where in the past the vice chair and vice chair would in fact be counted as voting members at every subcommittee meeting. I think the fact that we're not doing that now is a better thing than we used to be doing, because that kind of skewed the votes in some cases, I think, and it made it, because you would have, in some cases, you would have subcommittees where you would have effectively 7 sitting members if everybody showed up. And I don't recall them having two seriously weird votes when those happened, because most of that time was before I was even on the council. But I was a reporter, so I was covering some of those subcommittees. It was kind of a little bit weird. So we changed that process. And so personally, I don't care either way whether the vice chair is assigned to a subcommittee or not. I think it's just a matter of making sure that the workload gets balanced right.
Councilor Rivas.
I tend to agree with Councilor Steves and Councilor Ryan that I don't have a problem with the vice chair being assigned to a subcommittee. I do think that it's important to delineate that the vice chair may not serve as a permanent chair of a subcommittee. I think not only the workload, but we want to sort of spread out, like, and not have a concentration of power, and also to develop other leaders. I mean, I'm not talking about at the present moment.
I'm not
just-
taking it, no, absolutely, no, absolutely. About that.
You know, where you want to develop other leaders on the council as well. So that's sort of my perspective, but I have no problem with the vice chair being assigned to a subcommittee.
Councilor Adams.
Just a quick, what happens though, at the end? Let's just say you have a chair of a subcommittee. We've had counselors resign, we've had counselors not be at subcommittee meetings for long periods of time, and then all of a sudden the ex officio turns into the permanent chair for a period of time. And my question at this point in time is, what do? You are now making that vice chair a permanent chairperson of a subcommittee. It happened the first year I was here, it happened the second year I was here. We had 2 resignations in 1 year. They left, they resigned. And all of a sudden now you have to find, it's not going to be created equal across the board. And that ex officio turned into a permanent chair.
Yep.
Do you say, nope, we're not going to do that, and we're going to find something else, and maybe you don't have those experienced individuals at the chairperson level? I don't know. I'm just bringing up that. In my view is either give it to them or not give it to them, and say, you're just going to be the vice chair. There is a lot of work behind the scenes for the vice chair, and I know a lot of you guys have already seen that because you've been in those type of committees. There's a lot of work that has to happen, and if somebody's willing to step up to the plate to be that, kudos on them. Really, seriously, kudos on them.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the amendment? Okay, the amendment is to add the words, except that the vice chair may not serve as the chair of a subcommittee, to the end of the vice chairperson may also be assigned to a subcommittee as needed. Everyone clear on that? So if you vote,
So if we vote,
if you vote for the
We're voting on the
amendment,
amendment.
it adds in that the vice chair cannot be a subcommittee chairperson. You okay?
yeah?
All right. So if you're voting for it, then you're adding those words to the amendment. Everyone clear? Okay. All those in favor of the amendment? I see 3. Those against the amendment? I see 5 against, so the amendment fails. So we go back to the original motion, which was to change the wording to simply, the vice chairperson may also be assigned to a subcommittee as needed.
Thank you.
Any further discussion on the motion on the floor?
What's the entire thing, right, now? It's the whole thing, okay.
Yep. Everyone all set? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? I see 1 opposed, 7-1, with the Councilor Ryan opposed. The rules are amended.
Can I make a note real quick?
Certainly.
I just want to
Councilor
thank
Adams.
all the individuals that have been part of the rules and regulations over this period of time, over the longer period of time, because I know it's not an easy thing to do. And I will say that one thing that we discussed was adding that last part in there so we don't have to do this. We could do this every single year. You give that packet to the new counselor and say, read it, understand, ask the questions, whatever it may be, because they should be getting that before the first meeting, and you can discuss it there at the dais, and it's done for the season, So I think that was, and I learned that from some other towns within the Commonwealth, so thank you.
Very good, Council's forum. Let's start with Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to report on the Curbside Trash Committee meeting on Thursday, February 9th. It was well attended by several residents of the community, and on the agenda, we did discuss the survey results to date. So far, we've received about 1,000 surveys. The totals are showing which option would you prefer. A, property taxes were $276, B, a flat fee was $255, and C, a user fee, which would be the bag program, received the most votes, 414. Most of the respondents were homeowners, And where they get their information from, the number one was direct mail, number two was social media. Many residents were there to ask questions, mainly wanting to know what the cost was. That is their main concern. Many of them said it's very difficult to fill out the survey without a cost. What we need at this point is a cost analysis, and we need the RFP. Anna Smith said that it would probably take 60 days to receive it back from the haulers. I don't know if the RFP has been sent out yet, but if that puts us into May, it's going to be difficult to us to make recommendations for a ballot question. However, the DEP coordinator and actually Steve Gregoire from the Water Department have put together a pretty good idea to combine funding mechanisms, and we may be able to avoid a override. But at this point, it's only an estimate. I know the town manager and Mr. Pelletier came up with an estimate of 1.8 million, but we need a more accurate response. Councilor Steves has also scheduled a general government meeting to discuss billing options, and our next meeting is March 2nd, 6 p.m. in the Veterans Room. There's also a capital planning committee meeting this Thursday at 11 a.m. in the George Parent Room, and we will be reviewing and discussing school capital requests. Other than that, I'm looking forward to working with the interim town manager, Charlie Blanchard, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Montigny.
Thank you very much. Just wanted to give well wishes to Town Manager McCall. I feel like I've made the most of our experiences together, and we've shared some good times and some bad, but I hope in your journey you're able to get up to speed with the way of the land very quickly and enjoy your time. And just, I got to get this off my chest because I talk a lot about voting your conscience and being able to sleep with your decisions you make at night. So when it comes to this whole DPW matter, we worked with some of the people on the agenda tonight, Phil and Glenn, closely during the absence of a DPW director. And I feel that they deserved to be compensated for that. Some people might think a stipend, some people might think a promotion. A promotion was in front of us, and I supported it. And I also think that there's a huge part of that piece to bring those two gentlemen together to do such a great job is the secretary there, Tara. And I think if we were doing all these promotions, I personally feel that she deserves to get a promotion as well. I say that because that's what I feel in my heart. When I look at the situation and talk to the people, that's how I feel. You might not agree with me, and that's fine, but I think that would have been the best course of action tonight, was to compensate all three for giving me as a counselor a very pleasant experience with DPW while not having a director. And maybe some of the other people involved with DPW don't see some of the things that we see because we don't work with them directly. And I've had great dealings with all three of them, and thank you for hearing my piece.
What's that? Very good. Thank you, Councilor Montigny. Councilor Rivas.
Thank you through you, Mr. Chair. I want to thank Town Manager McCall for serving our community in such a diligent and passionate way that you really put a lot of effort and time into building our staff and developing staff for the future. And we appreciate all of your service, and I wish you well in your new position, and don't forget about us. Hope to see you at next year's Mass Municipal Conference. I also want to let voters know that, or residents know that, there's going to be a presentation at the Jacob Edwards Library on Thursday, February 23rd at 6:30. Dave Detmold from Change the Mass Flag will be presenting information to the public about the topic of changing the state flag and the seal of Massachusetts that has been offensive and detrimental to Indigenous communities across our state. Indigenous communities have been fighting for this for years, and 50 some odd towns across our state have signed proclamations to help move that in the right direction. And he will be presenting information to residents at the library. I encourage people to attend and to hear about why the state seal should be changed. I also want to mention tomorrow we will be filming our first promo with our Youth Voices with Councilor Rivas. And I have between 5 and 7 students signed on, and they're really excited to sit up here at the dais like the counselors do and discuss topics that are really important in our community. Our first show a month from now is going to be around leadership, and just in light of our town manager search committee, we're going to ask the students what qualities they would like to see in a future town manager, and hear from our students what their thoughts are. So thank you.
All set? Very good. Councilor Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you. First, I want to extend my well wishes and pleasant thoughts to Manager McCall. We don't always see eye to eye, but one thing I've always respected about the manager is his candor and his work ethic. This manager has been one of the best, if not the best manager I've seen in this town the last 20, 30, 40 years. You've gotten more done. You've delivered more results to the people of this community. We've done more in economic investment, and it's because of your work and your office's work. So I thank you for that. And I also want to say thank you to Ms. Harnoy. Ms. Harnoy is the definition of a dedicated public servant. Her loss is that, a loss. And I'm happy that she's moving forward and going to have hopefully wonderful experiences, but that level of institutional knowledge and dedication to the town of Southbridge is going to be greatly missed. She was one of the first people I talked to when getting involved in town as a school committee member, working out budget numbers, and the work and the help she provides to everybody in this community, both counselor and citizen alike, is going to be profoundly missed. So I wish her nothing but the best. And that's it, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Steves.
I'm going to echo what Councilor Ryan just said. Thank you very much for your time here, Michael. You have made a huge difference in this community, and I would love to see you stay, but I can understand why you would want to get closer to home. Good luck in Wayland. And to Karen, I wish she was still here, but she isn't, although she might be still watching. And thank you very much for your service, Karen, because we've desperately needed to have some of your wisdom and your financial acumen here and over the years, and we still do. So you can always come back. So thank you very much for your service. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Councilor Dow.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. Same thing. Thank you for Karen, and good luck with her new career. Mr. McCall, nice to work with you. Don't leave that magic stick behind. You might need it.
It's already been packed. It's coming with me.
You might need it in a new job, and remind me, like you don't forget about me in the future. I'm always fun away. Pleasure work with you, regardless if I always support you or not. And I just want to say something to the residents of Southbridge tonight. Sit tight. It's going to be better. We're going in the right direction. I know you guys see a lot of action on TV, on meetings, but we're going in the right direction. Just a matter of time, and the future will show. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Councilor Dow. Vice Chair Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a reminder, our next ARPA meeting is on the 9th of March. I did ask that all requests be put in by the 1st of March, so for the residents out there and organizations, we will be, after this next meeting, we're going to be under $1 million. There's no doubt in my mind as we move forward with it. Next, Town Manager Search Committees on this Thursday at 6:30. I believe we're going to be in the Rice Conference Room. We'll be discussing the RFP so we can get that pushed out ASAP. So I want to thank Town Manager, send that to me, and Adriana as well from the HR Department. I'm going to caveat what everybody else has said. To the Town Manager, Michael, I wish you nothing but the best. It's been a pleasure over the time. We could all say we have all agreements and disagreements, but that doesn't always, that's not what we do. We're not supposed to agree all the time. And I think at the end of the day, we have a mutual understanding and respect of each other, and I do appreciate that, and I wish you the best. And Waylon, I heard you've got some, maybe I'll purchase a broom and a dustpan so you can start cleaning house. But anyways, I hope they don't watch this. Anyways, actually, I don't care if they do or not. Anyways, and the next thing is I do want to wish Karen nothing but the best. 19 years serving our community here in Southbridge, consistent professional. She is going to be well-loved in Auburn, and she deserves nothing but the best in that community. And, we tried our best to keep her. We did everything we possibly could, but I also understand that she's got to move on with her life and at the twilight of her career, but I won't say the age. And then the next thing is discussion of the next meeting, agenda item number 39, which will be February 27th, 2023, here at 7 p.m. in the dais.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. I'd like to thank our audience member for making it to the end. It's nice of you to be here. Other people couldn't quite get there.
That is dedication.
That's right. Thank you, Karen. The help that you gave me over the last 2 years has been remarkable, and you're one of the people that helped me get through, so I appreciate it very much. Mr. McCall, it's been my pleasure. Thank you very much. And with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Councilor Ryan, second by Councilor Steves to adjourn. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. We are adjourned.